Well, a very good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Selhurst Park, the Premier League in action this Sunday afternoon, a sunny Sunday afternoon as well, as Leeds United, the visitors to Selhurst Park. Full commentary from BBC Radio London and BBC Radio 5 Sports Extra with myself, Kevin Hand, and Sam Parkin, former Chelsea striker, bringing you all the action from this one. A huge game for both, just 3 points separating the Eagles in 17th from Leeds in 13th. A win today would mean oh so much to Patrick Vieira's side as they look over their shoulder after that defeat last up to Chelsea, a game they felt pretty hard done by with a red card decision that didn't go their way for Thiago Silva. He was the man that nodded down for Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang to slam home the opener, and then they saw, or the equaliser I should say, then they saw their hearts broken in the last few minutes by Conor Gallagher, who was on loan here at Selhurst Park last season. So a tough game for them to take, but one that they had to suck up quickly. And look at this form at the start of the season, just one win for them so far. Looks pretty costly for Patrick Vieira's side, but they have faced oh so many of the big boys. The teams are just about to make their way out onto the field here. Leeds, of course, looking to pick up from a tough couple of games through September, and indeed looking back to that last win 24th of August in the EFL. But likewise, their last win in the Premier League was against Chelsea, 3-0 victory on the 21st of August. But 0-0 last up at home to Aston Villa, and indeed that 5-2 defeat in the capital, a little bit further around to the west at Brentford, was a costly one for them that leaves them now also looking over their shoulder. Let me take you through the two sides in full, starting with Crystal Palace. They'll line up with Joel Ward, the captain, at right back. Gaeta is in goal for this one. Change at left back as well. Tyreek Mitchell drops to the bench as here come the teams, you'll hear him in the background, making their way out, the all-white strip of Leeds. And Palace in their red training top still, they'll strip off in a few moments. Between the cheerleaders, they make their way out. And that oh so familiar sound here at Selhurst Park bounces around this South London stadium on what is a gorgeous afternoon. One of these two teams at the wrong end of the table at the moment will be hoping it's glorious come the full-time whistle. But let me finish those lineups for you. So at centre half, if Schlupp goes left back and Ward goes to right back, we're expecting Anderson to slip in the centre half position, which makes a slight adjustment alongside Gay from last week. Anderson only making the bench last week due to a last late injury, which came as a huge blow for the Eagles right on the eve of the game. But as for midfield, it's Elise, Decor and Eze across a three-man midfield with Ayew, Edouard and Zaha the front line. As for the bench, Mitchell, as I mentioned, dropping out. Johnson, the sub-goalkeeper, Milivojevic, Tompkins, who also misses out, having come in as a substitute for Klein last week when he was injured. Jean-Philippe Matata, Will Hughes, Malcolm Ebuye, Rydwald and Gordon completing that subs bench. As for Leeds, they'll line up with Messier in goal, Christensen at right back, Hocker Cooper at the centre halves, Struijk at left back, Rocker and Adams holding with Aronson on the right, Rodrigo through the centre behind Bamford and Harrison on the left. They've got Ayling, Somerville, Llorente, Gaiby, Lonto, Gelhardt, Greenwood and Click, the subs alongside Clyson. We're nearly good to go here at Selhurst on BBC Radio London and BBC Radio 5 Sports Extra. Sam, good afternoon to you. On the full commentary, we've already done the preview. It does feel like a big game for both of these, just 3 points separating them.
I think it does, yeah, because just plainly the wins have been few and far between for both sides. So great opportunity. I'm sure they'd have, the managerial teams and the staff been in the office earmarking this game as a potential to get up and running again. There's been some disappointment for Crystal Palace, albeit with some really good performances, getting pegged back at City, at Liverpool obviously, and leading last time out against Chelsea. So yeah, they want to pull themselves away from the bottom and show where they believe they should probably be in this table, which is much better spot than right now. There's plenty of quality here, and what I will say, I think the feel-good factor still remains around Selhurst Park. Played so much good football last year, so many talented individuals now, especially in the forward positions, when the onus, the pressure has always been on Wilf Zaha season after season to produce. I think there's a number now that get the Palace fans off the edge of their seats. So really looking forward to this game today. And yeah, Jesse Marsh has got Leeds really well organised. Obviously very, very aggressive the way that they go and close the opposition, and Palace like to play out, so that's going to be an interesting dynamic today to see if they can be nice and controlled as ever in possession.
Starting with the Palace perspective, I did wonder with Schluck coming in, Ward keeping his place but going out to right back, Anderson, Gay, whether they would have gone three at the back, pushed up a little bit further forward down that left to see how that midfield worked, because as you mentioned, it's a very attacking midfield. Elise, Takor and Eze in there, but they did work extremely well, the three of them, against Chelsea, and pretty much blocked off that box formation, that four-man midfield that Graham Potter deployed and so often does.
Yeah, when they signed Elise initially and then Eze, the other way round, but I felt it was going to be difficult for Patrick Vieira to get them in the same side with Zaha. I think Jordan Ayew plays a real unfashionable role for them on the right hand side, obviously plays a little bit tucked in, so he gives them a little bit of legs, a bit of defensive nous alongside Decore as well, so it's going to call for a little bit of discipline, isn't it, from Eze and Elise at times, and obviously their strength is going forward, being flamboyant and scoring goals and creating. And
it's Palace who get us up and running here, kicking from right to left in the first half with their red and blue striped tops, blue shorts, blue socks, Leeds in all white, and defending the goal away to our left-hand side. BBC Radio London, 5 Live Sports Extra. Sam Parkin and myself, Kevin Hand, delighted to be bringing you to this one on this Sunday lunchtime. In fact, the whiff of a Sunday roast makes its way around Selhurst Park. Maybe that's just because I missed the pre-match meal, but we'll make up for it at half-time nonetheless. It's out for a throw-in on the far side to Leeds. In fact, it's kept in play by Ward, who sends it down the line, and here in midfield, early ball forward towards Edouard, who manages to get a touch on it, bounced up on him slightly. It's going to be a jostle on the far side for Elise to try and keep it in. He can't do so, tight on that far side, but it's virtually like for like formation wise, isn't it, with Rodrigo's going to have to do a little bit through the centre of the park to try and help out that Palace midfield, and likewise to help out the Leeds midfield, against that three-man attack of Palace, who will look to find the space, which was actually surprisingly difficult for them last week. And likewise Chelsea. That box formation of Potter's was the real talking point, the congestion in the centre of the park. That's something, of course, both these sides, Aronson and Harrison, the wingers for Leeds, Zaha and Ayew for Palace, will very much be looking to find space. And here is Zaha on the near side, tightly tucked up by Christensen, looking for the back heel to try and release it through towards Eze, who goes down at the challenge, holding his heel, crying in pain. It's going to be a throw-in taken by Schlupp. Down the line it goes, and back into the keeper, Gaeta, who's put under pressure. The pass back was by Gay, and well, we saw it a couple of times here last week when we were here for BBC Radio London, the Chelsea match, that they put themselves under an awful lot of pressure at the back sometimes, Gaeta. Indeed, there was a pass back virtually the 6-yard box, which he picked up at one point. Here is a nice break though for Zaha down the left, looks for that first little bit of trickery, that step over in the flick with the inside of his foot to try and get inside. Christensen couldn't do so after being released by Edouard, and instead it's a tussle in midfield, which is pretty much the way the first couple of minutes has played out so far. But ball over the top, the linesman's flag goes up eventually. It was Bamford getting down the inside right, it looked offside, we were in the perfect position for it, Sam Parkin.
Yeah, just went a little bit too early. Well, in fact, the ball didn't come. His movement was good, but the Leeds player on the ball just delayed. Hence why the decision was an easy one for the referee's assistant. But good work from Christensen. The first time he's come one-on-one up against Wilf Zaha. Really aggressive, just straight into the challenge as Zaha tried to take the ball in with his back to goal. So he wins that first duel.
Long ball down the left-hand flank, goes straight out of play for Leeds. Away to our right, we mentioned Zaha. He scored in every single game that Palace have won in 2022. He remains that pivotal player, that key player for the Eagles, who were so very happy to be able to keep on to him, keep hold of him this summer. In fact, it was quite a summer from Zaha's perspective, which is a little bit of a surprise perhaps, but usually he's one of the names that's mentioned for a big money move. Ball forward out of the back from Anderson there, thought he saw a run, which he didn't down the left-hand flank. Neither Zaha, Edouard, or indeed Eze, a trio hugging the inside left, had made the run. It's straight out for a throw into Leeds once more. Tight to their own corner flags. They're penned in back there at the moment. They give it away in a dangerous position here. Rolled across for Elise by Takor. He tries to sidestep his man but can't do so, and tidying up is Cooper, who steps across the left of the centre halves and pumps the ball long down the flank, the far side of the pitch. Throw into Palace, taken quickly back to Gaeta, who receives the ball in a much more comfortable fashion on this occasion. Bright orange boots for him and his luminous green strip. Rolled out towards the near side from where we sit, and there's another of those back passes. Goodness me. Gueye back to Gaeta, and it's not away fully. Here's Bamford, chance, turns towards his left, but the step in was from Gueye. I mentioned it the first time they went back to him. We saw it all last week when we were here for the full commentary on BBC Radio London, Sam Parkin. The passing back to the keeper at times was scandalous, and again the pressure was huge on Gaeta. The Eagles just about getting away with it. In the end, this move still alive down the left for Leeds, breaks down and comes to nothing as Harrison can't keep it in, and it will be a goal kick to a very relieved Crystal Palace.
Yeah, just so too forceful, wasn't it? The pass back really thumped at the goalkeeper.
And straight in the middle of the goal as well.
It was, yeah. You always taught, aren't you? Obviously, as a defender, as a fullback, to pass to the side of the goal, and obviously to the goalkeeper's strongest foot, if possible. And if it wasn't for a loose touch from Patrick Bamford when he was fed by Harrison, I think he gets his strike away. Gueye actually recovered really sharply to get a foot in and dispossessed the striker. A more fit Patrick Bamford, maybe someone who's played a few more minutes recently, that would have been touch, finish, and probably a goal.
Thrown on the far side to Leeds, who have just managed to dominate a bit of possession in the last few minutes, helped by Eagles' wayward passing. Here's a cross coming in early from Harrison on that far side. It might go all the way out, it does. Bamford giving an earnest chase towards the corner flag on the near side, thrown to be taken by Schlupp. And well, now it's Crystal Palace's turn to be penned back inside, deep inside their own final third in this first few minutes. We've had, 5.5 minutes here on BBC Radio London with commentary on BBC Radio 5 Sports Extra. A warm welcome wherever you're tuned in around the country on digital radio to this one. Good to have you with us. 0-0, but very nearly Palace shooting themselves in the foot there with that back pass. Yeah, there was one last week which was laid off to Gaeta, right edge of the 6-yard box. He picked it up. He had no choice really. He was so close to the defender. I'm not going to name and shame because I can't remember exactly who it was right now who towed it back to him, under pressure albeit from Aubameyang, but it was a scandalous decision then, as it was today, to push it back to the keeper. On that occasion he had no choice but to drop on the ball and just pick it up under pressure from the Chelsea front line. Here's Leeds in possession on the far side of the pitch, left hand flank with Harrison, surrounded by a box of Crystal Palace players who themselves try to pass their way out through that box. They can't do so, and trying to keep it in play on that far side is Ayew. It's out for a throw in to Leeds. Palace who got the early lead against Chelsea last week. The cross from Ayew, which was superbly finished on the stretch by Edouard, as his chance perhaps have a look at goal early on from Harrison. He can't do so. It's wide and out for a goal kick to Crystal Palace. As really just opened up half an angle, didn't he, from the right edge of the box. It wasn't really there for him as the game was opening up. He just fancied, could I get a shot away early, and in the end it was a tame one. Goalless it remains. Yeah,
just choked his shot. They moved it well from left to right. I mean, very, very similar setups as you mentioned, Kevin, in terms of the role that Aronson and Jordan Ayew play for their respective clubs. They're going to be tucked in, work incredibly hard, and there'll be a bit more width on the opposite flank with Will Zaha and obviously Harrison for Leeds. So yeah, it's been a quick start actually from the visitors. They've actually settled a little bit faster. We know that the nearest man will just go and close, go and get after the Crystal Palace player who's trying to play out, and they've really condensed the game.
There's a long ball down the right, one to chase for Jordan Ayew, keep it in play by the right corner flag, tight to the touchline. He rolls it back up the line, deep left-footed cross comes in. Zaha was underneath it, but it was too far over his head though, and despite a late stretch with his right leg to try and hook it back into play, couldn't do so, and Elise just overdoing the cross a little bit towards the back post. You could see he was right though, because Zaha was the man peeling away, and I think that's potentially going to be one of the areas today for Leeds to look out for, is that space that Zaha will try and find, and they'll try and negate for him. He was dangerous pressing high against Chelsea, managed to win the ball back on a few occasions. A lovely little move down the right hand flank for Leeds, trying to release the run of Aronson. Is stopped off by a fine tackle by Schlupp coming in. It had to be well timed, and it was, and it will be in fact dragged back. Was it a shirt pull just before it? We'll have to wait and see in a moment. We head into 94.9 FM in a moment to update them on the latest from here at Selhurst, as that's going to be a throw in on the near side for Crystal Palace. And it remains Crystal Palace 0, Leeds 0 in the early stages here after 8.5 minutes. But it was very nearly kamikaze stuff at the back again from Crystal Palace. As a pass back from Gaeta. Gaeta put him under huge pressure, dead centre in the goal. The ball was pumped back from him from pretty close. He just about managed to scuff his clearance away. That's invited a fair bit of pressure from the visitors, but it remains Palace 0, Leeds 0. And here is that throw in down the near side, which is taken towards the run of Rodrigo, who's pulled wide. I haven't said his name on too many occasions. He'll look to find a little bit of space today, given that attacking nature of the three-man midfield that Crystal Palace have for this one. There's a fine bit of footwork from Christensen, the right back, just a little pull back with his right foot, and then left foot tried to dink it in behind that back line of Palace. It was tight, he couldn't get it through, but good imagination, very nearly pulled off. Speaking of imagination, great back heel from Rodrigo. Stepping inside now is the run from Aronson. He makes it an awful long way and against the post, and then drills in on the rebound. And Leeds have the lead here. It struck the left back high up the park. What a wonderful run it was first, jinking one way or the other and into the area. The shot coming back off the post, but it was struck right on the spot. 12 yards out, who managed to make a clean collection and get it through the bodies of Palace in front of him. And just before the 10-minute mark, it's the visitors that have the lead. It's Crystal Palace 0, Leeds United 1.
It was just brilliant play from Brendan Aronson. He's tenacious little player, but great close control. He just kind of slaloms through about 3 Palace players. I think they're fearful of getting a challenge in, possibly giving away the penalty, and the curling shot, so unlucky to strike the base of the post, but Struijk on the rebound does fantastic to control it. Actually, there's quite a few bodies to get the ball through. There's a couple of Palace players in behind Guaita, but he just steers it, gets good contact actually through the legs of Joel Ward. Yeah,
it's a wonderful move. So Crystal Palace 0, Leeds 1, and well, it really did deserve a goal itself from Matt Aronson on the run. There could be another one here. Rodrigo with a layoff, not so. It was Aronson who managed to jink his way through 3 or 4 challenges, and then with the inside of his left foot curling towards the post, it rebounded back off the post, but straight into the path of Struijk to tap home. The goal itself probably deserved by Aronson from that run, but either way, it's the visitors that have the lead. Crystal Palace 0, Leeds 1. And it is a free kick for Palace just inside of their own half, well, midway inside of their own half, which will be taken by Gay. As I say, it very nearly opened up again there for them, but coming to nothing on this occasion. The long ball goes forward, and well, after a bright opening couple of minutes from Palace, where they enjoyed a little bit more higher up the park, they've been pretty much penned in and look a little shell-shocked here at the start, which again they contributed to themselves, that nervousness that goes around from a back pass like that, and the resulting weak kick out. You couldn't put it all down to that, but certainly they've been penned back and back by Leeds ever since then, Sam.
Yeah, I mean, a short throw infield there, it just has to be set, and you have to move it up the pitch quicker than that when you're playing against an opponent that starts the game in this fashion. Leeds are so energetic, especially down this right hand side with Aronson. You know, incredible work ethic, the way that he closes down. We know that's what you're going to face when you come up against Leeds United, so a little bit naive of Palace trying to play out in close quarters, and you know, severely punished.
Hooped ball over the top here, and it might just come off as well. And well, there was a little pull of the left shoulder there from Harrison as he made the run in behind the back. I think that it was Anderson. Oh, great, he's given it away. Dreadful mistake by Palace, and they're going to get away with it again on this occasion. But once more, sloppy in the final third. It's still not fully away. Edge of the 18-yard box. It's picked up by Bamford on the near side. He's going to go for goal. It takes a deflection. It hoops up and over the bar. Sam, I was just about to look down at my notes because the danger appeared to have gone, but yet again at the back, Palace getting themselves into trouble. I think Guaita wholly to blame here. He lingered on it for far too long.
The only reason they get away with it is because Jack Harrison didn't back his right foot. If he'd just turned the other way, he could have angled that towards goal. It would have been some finish, but he opted to obviously turn onto his stronger side and just set it back for a midfield player. I
was preparing to scream as he let rip on that with the inside of his right foot. He chose not to, as you say. Here comes the corner from Leeds towards the near post. It goes through and over everybody. It was Cooper the target. He just couldn't make that connection with his forehead. And on the near side, it's going to be kept in play by Adams, who'll go all the way back to Meslier in goal, who will have, I think, one of his first touches of the ball, actually. It's 13 minutes on the clock. Can't particularly remember him putting his foot on the ball so far, as his long clearance goes all the way through to the Palace back line. They've got to get their foot on the ball here somehow, Palace, or at least get it out of the final third, I suppose would be one thing. As a cross is going to come in from the near side, the right hand flank. It's Rodrigo who's pulled wide. It comes back to him off a deflection, roll back to him from Adams. Adams has it again, down the near side it goes for Christensen, tries to release it down the line. A late tackle on Adams, by Doucouré though, and it's going to be a yellow card for the central midfielder of Crystal Palace. Late on Adams on that one, and well, as much as anything, I think just wanting to get a foot in the game, whether it's just get a foot on a player and let Leeds know that they're in this game at the moment, Palace, because they're very much on their heels, the Eagles.
Well, it's a messy challenge, isn't it? I think it's clumsy more than anything, because the ball...
It was long gone.
The ball's miles away. Yeah, I mean, he's connected. Was
it
with
frustration though?
No, I don't think so. I think he's just connected, but he's trying to get there. He's trying to close down, trying to put down a little bit of a marker, but I think he just steps on him. But it looked nasty.
Dangerous position to get the cross in, midway inside the Palace half, inside right position. Rodrigo, the most likely I'd suggest. Adams has picked himself up and he's okay. Slightly on his haunches though. Rodrigo left-footed to bend it in. We shall have to wait and see. Clutch of Leeds players at the far post, and here comes Rodrigo, steps up left-footed towards the near post it goes. Flick's header is up into the air, and Gaeta's able to come claim, and will throw it out immediately down the right-hand flank. Here's the first real chance perhaps for a counter. To the halfway line goes Elise. He's quickly closed down by two Leeds defenders, and look, back they go again. Edouard still still inside of his own half. Try and fancy footwork, probably not the time nor the place to do it. He's given it away. Rodrigo with the ball forward to Bamford, and he almost threw out his left-hander there, almost like a slip catcher, wainfully looking towards a ball going away to his left-hand side, just out of reach that he knew it would be. And this through ball was always going to be too far ahead of him, but again, nearly giving it away. They've got to find a way here. They've got to find a method, Palace. They haven't got one at the moment. Here's Schlupp, pumps the ball down the left-hand flank. That'll do for the moment. It's a ball into space. It's a percentage ball. It just means they can take a breather, let alone from their own half, but from their final third. It's been all Leeds so far since the opening stages, but here's a touch for Eze, trying to use some of that skill and magic that we saw from him last week in helping to keep Chelsea at bay for so long. Here's Harrison though now for Leeds as it breaks away from Elise's run, and down the near side, the right hand flank, it'll come. A back heel from Rodrigo gives it back to Harrison again, but it's tidied up once more, this time by Gaeta, who manages to release a very good ball to the halfway line, where it's held up extremely well by Edouard, who now has made a little 1-2 run with Ayew chipping it forward for him, but doesn't make its way through, and in the end it'll come out to Ward, who tidies up in the right back position. A rare foray forward for Ward, the right back, indeed Schlupp as well. That back four has been pinned back so far. Now it's with Doucouré, who is on a yellow. Out towards Schlupp on this near side it goes, and up towards Elise, who's made a little run forward to try and find himself in a very advanced position. In fact, my apologies, it was Eze who had the touch. He was almost up alongside Edouard, with Elise tucked inside with Doucouré. Keeping possession, Palace. They're back into defence, and across the halfway line it goes. Rolls forward. Once again, it's that man, Eze, who's just trying to find himself in a busy position on the inside left. Oh, went for a clever little 1-2 with Zaha. Didn't come off, but Schlupp picks it up. Finds room now by the corner flag. He's got a lot of time to try and weigh up this cross. In the end, it's deflected and straight through to Meslier. Did he have too long as he looked up in the end for that cross? Just couldn't find the position he wanted to take a touch and put the cross in. Instead, he just lingered on it, and the move breaks down for Palace. 1-0 it is to Leeds here at Selhurst Park with 17 minutes on the clock.
Can't believe he didn't put it in, because it was brilliant play. Skipped past two challenges, and it just looked as they were vacating. The box was 6 red and blue shirts in there. You know, perfect for him to just flash a ball in. Opted to take that next touch and kind of ran out of pitch, didn't he, Jeffrey Schlupp? But much better from Palace after 15 minutes or so where they've not got going at all. I've been really impressed with Leeds. Tyler Adams about to take the free kick in particular. He's been absolutely everywhere, keeping it simple in possession, but just winning the second balls. And that's what you get from Leeds United, especially if you've been over elaborate in your own half.
Here's the free kick to Leeds, deep inside of their own half, sent forward, but not particularly far forward, as it's picked up by Schlupp, who tried to roll it towards Zaha on the left. He peeled wide again. He has hugged that touchline a lot. Zaha hasn't got much in the game yet, whether he'll look to come inside or come a little deeper perhaps, just to try and affect the game. He has tried to stay high up the park and hug that line. Clearly an early instruction for him. His good interception from Ward, the right back for Palace, just managed to get an outstretched right leg on it. It goes out for a throw in on the far side for Leeds, who lead by that goal to 0. They not lost in the league in this calendar year when they've scored the opening goal, winning 6 of 9 matches. That's what the Eagles are up against to try and break. as this ball eventually goes in for Bamford, and out comes Gaeta's claim happily. She's done a couple of occasions in the air, it's been no problem for him so far, he's held well. Rolls out to shut up on the near sides. Palace try and play it from the back, as they did admirably all the way last week as well against Chelsea. 3 o'clock kickoff on a Saturday, that was. A rarity it is nowadays in the Premier League to be at a Saturday 3 o'clock game, especially against one of the big teams, Chelsea, who just about came out on top of that. Again, Leeds, their last victory was against the Blues, all the way back when Thomas Tuchel was in charge. Graham Potter in the touchline, in the dugout for Chelsea last week, here picking up his first Premier League win. Further win in the Champions League for the Blues in midweek against AC Milan. What a moment that must have been for Potter. Break off for a moment because the ball's being passed back in goal to Gaeta, and yet every time it does you can just feel this could go horribly wrong for Palace, but on this occasion it's pumped long, and Palace retain possession on the halfway line. And again, just this little bit of possession play which Palace are so very keen on, and then the early ball forward for Zaha, which is tidied up very, very well by Christensen, who manages to head back to Meslier in goal. There was 2 on Christensen there. Zaha with the run of Eze as well. Edouard not far away, but very, very comfortably tidied up by the Leeds right back, who hugs the touchline now and will receive the ball as it's chipped towards him. As now it's Leeds' turn to try and pass it out the back, but they're pressured early, and there's Zaha with that high press who wins it back. Slip ball attempted through from Takure. It was looking for Jordan Ayew, but it took a deflection, and through it goes to Meslier in goal, who'll just take his time before picking this one up, try and buy a moment for his team to collect their thoughts, and they too now will pass it out with a lovely little flick from Harrison towards the near side. Rodrigo will pick it up from Strick, the goal scorer. Forward it goes to Anderson. Aronson once more, he gets his flick through. This could be the second for Leeds as Bamford, it opens up in front of him. That's a great save by Gaeta, who, well, as we approach the halfway stage of the first half, it almost feels like has just kept Palace in the game here, certainly kept them in the half.
That's a golden chance, brilliant play. I think it was Adams, Rodrigo initially, Adams, and then wonderful awareness from Aronson just to feed it round the corner. Pass was beautifully timed. And Bamford, I don't know, it was a little bit nonchalant, wasn't it? Just flicked at it with his left foot. Probably had another touch in it. If he wanted to take it on his left side, he probably would have been able to take it more onto his left foot and then get a truer strike away. But yeah, good height for the goalkeeper. He read his intentions. Should have done better again.
BBC Radio London and BBC Radio 5 Sports Extra together here at Selhurst Park. The visitors Leeds with that goal. And well, so close to having a second, as there'll be a throw in on the near side which Christensen will take, and will look happily, I think, just to take his time and take a breather on this one. And still Crystal Palace 0, Leeds 1, but very nearly the second for Leeds with that ball through for Bamford. 1-on-1 with the keeper, perhaps just a little bit too lapsadaisical with the effort, a little bit too at ease, when maybe you could have put his foot for it or even taken a touch, but it has been all Leeds here, and Palace have to be careful. They've been on the back foot for the majority of the half. We're halfway through it at the moment, and still leading by that struck goal. It's Crystal Palace 0, Leeds 1. It's going to be a free kick meantime on the far side of the pitch for Palace. Ayew fouled, and a chance now for Palace to get some bodies forwards and have a look at that Leeds back line, which they haven't had much of an opportunity to do so far. Elise's gone across to take the kick, left-footed. Palace, well, big bodies forward from the back. Anderson, Gay as well. And can they find a way towards one of those heads? He'll be whipping it goalwards from that far side, the right-hand flank, with his left foot. Trying to drop it in, you'd imagine, behind that back line that are holding high just outside of the 18-yard box for Leeds. Elise puts his left hand up, whips it in, drops it down beautifully for the equaliser, and absolutely on the spot for Palace. That was a wonderful free kick, and it's Edouard who had the simplest of flicked headers right in front of the goal. And well, you could see it was set up for Elise if you could deliver it in behind that Leeds back line, who are holding their position high up outside the 18-yard box, and they have paid the price for it because Elise has put it on a sixpence. And well, Edouard just had to make a connection really at that range, and there'd be no chance for Meslier, and there wasn't. It's Crystal Palace 1, Leeds 1.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really good delivery first and foremost. That's what clearly makes the goal. The header, just the faintness of touches really, just helping it on its way into the far corner. Looked like there was probably a Palace player maybe in an offside decision. I don't think it was Edouard though, so they are checking it. I thought it was close.
Checking offsides. His left hand is offside if anything is, but we shall see. I think they'll be okay. So I think it'll be Crystal Palace 1, Leeds 1, but there's a VAR check here for the equalising goal, or the hopeful equalising goal for Crystal Palace by Edouard. It was a wonderful free kick by Elise, left-footed. It was dipped in behind a very high Leeds back line from a free kick which was pretty high up the park, to be fair. Edouard just needed to get a touch on it. He did to make it level. They're having a very, very long look at this though, the VAR, so we shall have to wait and see. I think it's going to be okay, and I think it will be Crystal Palace 1, Leeds 1. They're having a long look. As I say, it's the left arm of Edouard that is the problem. I think the rest of his body's okay, but the line's not perfect on this, on the replay that we're saying. I don't think, right, here we go. Yeah, the line's up and onside.
Well, there we go.
Onside is the call. I think it was just his left hand, and there you go. The news goes around Selhurst Park. VAR check over, and it is one apiece here. I think that was the right call, Sam, because looking at the replay, it's not the best image that we've got in front of us, but it only looked like it was his left hand, which
yeah,
is
it did. Yeah, there was a Palace player coming from deep, and I was thinking that was Edouard initially, but he was obviously the furthest forward Palace player. So yeah, thankfully, just his arm.
Here come Leeds down the left-hand flank, and they'll look to get their cross in. We'll head back and update listeners on BBC Radio London in a moment, but first of all, we could be updating on a second Leeds goal. Cross comes in towards Bamford. Well, Selhurst Park has found its voice. Can the Eagles find their footing in this game? Because it has been all Leeds so far, and here they come again down the left-hand flank with Strike, who will try to get his cross in left-footed from the far side. Oh, he jinks inside. It's a lovely bit of room created for himself there, and he tries to roll it across the D, but only rolls it into a sea of red and blue for Crystal Palace, and the clearance is away, where it'll be picked up with a jostle by Aronson, who's tucked inside, as Sam was mentioning. He's done that on a few occasions now. Here's going to be a chance to, well, ambitiously go for goal, I think, from that far side. Was it Harrison who let rip in the end? I think it was. Left-footed, looking to dink it over Gaeta, who was a long way out. Ambitious effort, but worth a go, and now it's Palace who'll try and bring it out of the back line. That is an awful ball once more from Guy, who's been guilty on a couple of occasions today. He's spread that from the left corner flag all the way across his back line to level with the 18-yard backs in the right back position for Wards, who is looking directly into the sun at that as the ball's coming towards him. The ball on any occasion I don't think is going to be the best, to send it square across your back line like that. Ward in the end just happily lets it go out for a throw in. In the end, Leeds manage from the resulting throw in to win a free kick. What do you spotted, Sam?
Well, Decore's just thundered into another challenge. This is, I mean, it's close.
Ooh, yeah.
Two nasty challenges, you know, by the letter. The way we are with the game right now, that's close. I'm not sure how much contact there was, but the first one was very rash, wasn't it? Very rash, definitely a yellow card. So
does it almost help him a little bit that they're face to face as he comes in on that one? You know, it's almost chest to chest. They're looking at each other. The ball goes away, and as a result, one goes for the kick, the other goes for the kick, and it's the Leeds man who gets the ball away first.
Bit old-fashioned.
In this day and age,
bit old-fashioned, but he just had a chat with Joel Ward there, the skipper, just to probably say, you know, that's very close to probably being a second yellow.
Yeah, I think he's a very, very lucky boy to court. Eagles fans will probably be screaming that they owe that. They're owed that from last week when Thiago Silva stretched out a right hand to deny Palace what looked like a pretty clear goal scoring opportunity for IU. The VAR check said it wasn't a clear goal scoring opportunity. Here's the resulting free kick, whipped in, drops towards the edge of the penalty spot, and it's away by Palace, which Zaha's going to try and chase. Stepping across in front of him is Adams, and for the step across he gets a shoulder barge from Zaha. The ref waves play on, tells them to get on with it. The two of them have a long chat. Zaha had something of a point in that Adams stepped right across in front of him and said, well, if you're going to step across in front of me, what do you want me to do? Zaha just used his body weight. You can see it one way or the other. If you're a Leeds United fan, you're saying it's definitely a free kick, and it's Zaha now who wins a free kick from Adams in return. But just going back for that Thiago Silva incident, for Leeds fans or anybody else tuned in on 5 Live, BBC Radio 5 Sports Extra, Silva was on the floor as he put out a right hand, which stopped to call Ayew from going further forwards. It was a free kick, it was a yellow card for Thiago Silva. VAR had a red card check on it. They didn't ask the referee to go and look at it. And of course, wasn't it Thiago Silva who knocked down for Aubameyang to score the equalising goal last week, which you can imagine the response at half-time and at the full-time whistle for the referee, with the thoughts of Selhurst Park on that one. Brief moment of panic there for Gaeta, well outside of his area, but good connection on a clearance. It's out on that far side, although play being called back. Was it offside, or was it a push that the referee spotted on Palace defender? Either way, it's a free kick to the Eagles midway inside of their own half, which Guy will take. This time it's a simple roll pass to his left, and Schlupp in the full-back position down the line for Zaha, who sends it back inside of his own half. It goes all the way back to Guy and then across to Anderson to try and run it forward from a deep position. The centre half finds a lovely ball along the floor just inside of Leeds territory. It's picked up by Decore. Couldn't get hold of it on the second attempt though, after what looked like a reasonable first touch, and now it's one back for Leeds by Aronson in a very central position. Towards the far side of the pitch it goes, and Strike, who will go one way then the other with it, but his ball down the line comes to nothing, or does it? No, it was off a Palace man last. Stanchion right in front of me for that one. There's 2 balls on the pitch, so I can take a breath, so can the players, because they're going to have to get rid of one of those balls. It's Crystal Palace 1, Leeds United 1 here on BBC Radio London and BBC Radio 5 Sports Extra. That early goal from Strike levelled up just a moment ago for Palace, as here is a chance to get the cross in from the left for Leeds. It's deep and over everybody. Just about keeping it alive is Rocker, still with Christensen. Will try and send it forward, but it's blocked off by Palace and out for a throw on the near side for Leeds. That equalising goal, which was checked by VAR, but Edouard's header from Elise's free kick standing. Here's Anderson on the near side in the meantime for Leeds, who maintain possession high up the park once more. It's inside for Rodrigo. Instead of going for the left-footed cross, he has a reverse pass. Comes back to a chance for Adams, who just takes a heavy touch on it. Looked to go to the line. His left foot just got a toe to it. Not sure whether that was intentional or whether he was just looking to step onto the ball. Either way, it kicks it away for himself and out for a goal kick to Palace. One apiece it remains here at Selhurst Park. So we've had just over 30 minutes.
Yeah, similar position to which Leeds scored from there. Tyler Adams picking the ball up, but just his touch letting him down at a crucial moment. But they won't be able to believe that they're levelling this game, I don't think, Leeds, because they've controlled it for majority of this first half, and obviously had that gilt-edged chance through Patrick Bamford to extend their lead to 2-0 just prior to Palace equalising, which I would think was Palace's only attempt, certainly the only attempts that Melier's had to try and deal with. So they're the fine margins, aren't they? You need to be sharp. You're not going to get too many one-on-ones in a game of Premier League football. Bamford will be ruining that missed opportunity, as his teammates will be if they go in level at half-time, because I would say they've shaded this first half.
Yep, I think so. Patrick Vieira vocal on the edge of his box at the moment, and barking out instructions. As here's Decore, perhaps a little lucky to still be on the field. He twists away from the challenge of Rocker, and then the ball down the left for Zaha. He's not able to pick him out, but Ayew manages to get in and win back possession right on the left edge of the D. Tries a reverse pass for Edouard, couldn't find him. Decore instead manages to roll the ball to the right in the space here for Elise, who gets a dinked cross outside of his left foot towards the near post. It was just too far ahead of Edouard to try and get forward, and well, at best wrap a foot around it, and it drops for Meslier. But a better couple of moments for Crystal Palace.
Yeah, it looked to take a little deflection there, just as Elise tried to stab it in towards Edouard. Elise stayed wide right for the moment. Ayew seems to have come into the middle of the pitch. I think that's happened maybe 5 minutes or so ago. Jordan Ayew looks to be playing as a kind of number 8 alongside Eze in the engine room, if my eyes aren't deceiving me. And Elise's gone back to his more natural position, maybe wide on the right hand side.
Zaha is fouled just inside of his own half. The home fans not particularly happy with Christensen's challenge, but they have the free kick. Chance for Palace once more to take a breather, as we say, have a little bit of possession to just composed themselves in this half. They have it across the back line. They have to be careful with this possession across the back line. That has got them in trouble on a few occasions. Down the flank it goes on the near side for Zaha, the left winger, and inside for Schlupp, who's cut in from the full-back position. Now to Anderson. The Palace fans happy with the possession play, although it hasn't taken them any further than the halfway line. Over it goes now for Elise down the far side of the pitch to the right, and the run ahead of him is made by Ayew. It's cut off by Leeds, and it's going to be Harrison to track back and win back possession for the visitors, who'll try and bring it away. They can't do so, and they give it away sloppily inside of their own half, just as Leeds would have liked to have countered. And instead, it's a switch to play for the near side. A rare loose touch from Zaha when he was in a good position. He gets it away towards Edouard in the centre, though. Back to Zaha, left edge of the 18-yard box, rolled inside just ahead of Dakor. Now Edouard, now it comes out to Dakor. Schlupp has it, the full-back. Inside it goes for Eze. Eze across towards Ward, the right back for Palace. Down the line it goes for Elise, who's pulled wide. I'll get the word out eventually. Tries to step inside to get his left-footed cross in. He can't do so, and it's blocked off by Leeds, who will get it up towards Bamford, who does a very clever job and a very good job of holding up play to win the free kick inside of his own half. Really good hold-up play from him, and it's Leeds now who've bought themselves a moment with the score still Palace 1, Leeds 1.
Yeah, they've started to make a few errors when they've been trying to play up the pitch. Leeds don't have maybe that controller in the midfield. The tenacity, the work ethic has been fantastic in his first half, but just when they've been asked to play through, Palace is closing down. They've been found wanting. So that was Palace's best spell of the game, I would say, for 3 or 4 minutes there. They've had Leeds camped in, a bit more possession, just that kind of intricate stuff around the 18-yard box breaking down for Crystal Palace, but looking much more threatening.
Thrown on the near side to Palace inside of their own half. I mentioned that stat that they've not lost in the league this calendar year, Leeds, when they've scored the opening goal, winning 6 of 9. But indeed, since returning to the Premier League in 2020, all 5 of Leeds' league defeats from a winning position were against London opposition. So something that Palace can cling to after a first half that's seen them very much second best on home soil here at Selhurst Park on BBC Radio London and BBC Radio 5 Sports Extra. Here's Eze winning back possession for Palace inside of his own half. Now Ayew, as the ball switched all the way to the far side of the pitch, and Elise down that right hand flank, the left footer goes, tracks back, gives it to Joel Ward. Now it's Jordan Ayew, right-footed cross, takes a deflection. It's a corner kick to Crystal Palace on that far side. We've got just under 10 minutes to go in the first half here at Selhurst Park, and just a bit of respite for Palace in the last few minutes. And it's going to be a set piece which Elise will look to swing in left-footed towards the goal once more, as he did for that equaliser for Edouards.
I think maybe Patrick Vieira has felt that he needs a bit more physicality in the middle. Bringing Jordan Ayew in there is a real clever move. Elise's not that type of player. Obviously, he's going to prefer it wide on the right-hand side. Ayew gives you a bit more legs, a bit more tenacity up against a Leeds kind of 2 in there who are very, very combative.
Elise's free kick, left-footed, swung up towards the back post. It's flicked on, and towards this near side it'll go, where it'll be kept in play. I don't think whether it did come off a Leeds head or not, the ball wasn't going to go out of play indeed, which is why Christensen put his foot down. Here's Anderson, cries of shoot, steps away, the centre-back, he's on the edge of the D, he's jinking his way into the area, just couldn't find that opening to get the shot off. It's away by Palace, and now Anderson will have to get back because Bamford's over the halfway line, heading forward. Oh, and the most cynical of fouls imaginable by Elise, who will get a yellow card as he just reached out and grabbed the shirt tail of Bamford and dragged him back, knowing he'd get the yellow card. Wasn't that desperate a situation for the centre-half to give away a yellow card at that point, Sam Parkin?
I think Bamford did well, actually, because I was thinking when he initially picked up possession, switched the play, Harrison would have been in on goal if the ball was perfect, but him striding forward like that purposefully, he was a good mover with the ball. They're in big trouble, I think, there, Palace. It was almost a 3v2, maybe 3v3 with a Palace player just coming back into the picture. So ultimately, I think that was good decision making from Bamford, and you don't see that too often, do you? Yeah. You don't see that too often. It was quite a strange sight. Okay, he just absolutely dragging him back, making certain that the game went dead.
Free kick, which Harrison left-footed stands over. Instead, it's going to be right-footed, hung up by Aronson to the back post. It's headed back across the 6-yard box, away by Palace, but coming together of heads. One of those down is Ayew of Palace, and the stretcher is immediate, or the physios are immediately being called here for by the referee and by Gaeta, the keeper. So both sides have a player down. I couldn't quite make out who the Leeds player was. He's lying on his back at the moment. There's a huddle down there, so hard to see, but certainly Ayew from a Palace perspective.
Put good balls in, haven't they, Leeds? Every ball has been kind of on the money and led to a bit of an almighty scramble, especially if Leeds have won that first header. They put real good quality in there. They've looked a little bit flimsy defensively, Palace, from those dead balls, and yeah, had to defend a little bit panicked at times.
Two of them remain down, and well, Ayew in particular is well, both really. We've got the physios over the top of them. The referee, Paul Tierney, immediately piped on his whistle. Yep. Indeed, the goalkeeper as well.
I think they're both okay, aren't they? I think there's definitely probably a cut there. I think Gaeta was the first on the scene with Jordan Ayew, and he gesticulated to get someone on, but the Leeds player's sitting up. He doesn't seem to be in too much bother. They're both kind of moving about just as the technical staff were getting to them.
I think it's Robin Cockerton who's picked himself up and is okay and making his way. Well, he'll have to come off only to be waved back on by the referee. We've got 5 minutes to go in the first half here on BBC Radio London and BBC Radio 5 Sports Extra. Sam Parkin and myself, Kevin Hand, bringing you the commentary of this one in South London, and the visitors Leeds taking the lead through Struck. Just in a replay of that wonderful jinking run from Arison in from the right hand flank, one way then the other. Felt like 4 players that he slalomed through. Deserved the goal with the left-footed effort, which came back off the post into the path of the left back, which was a relatively simple tap home. Other than the bodies, he just had to see an opening, didn't he? See a spot and put it straight down it from roughly 8-10 yards out. And Palace with that equaliser headed home by Edouard. It's close to as simple a header as you can imagine, really, from a wonderful ball in from Elise. Just going back to that, I was surprised how high a line that Leeds had outside their own 18-yard box, given how high up the pitch that free kick was down the right-hand flank. It just felt like it was made for, if the delivery's good, then Leeds are in trouble.
Yeah, and you're putting a lot of pressure on your goalkeeper to come and command those situations, which he probably didn't really. I'd have to see it back again, but he was probably around the 6-yard box, wasn't he, when he made contact, Edouard?
Yeah, that's a good point, yeah.
Maybe slightly further out, but generally that's why you're doing it. You're saying, goalkeeper, come and command those situations if you're that high up. But yeah, I mean, I thought the ball was brilliant. As soon as it left his foot, you knew that.
You know he's capable of it as well.
Yeah, you knew they were in trouble because it was a brilliant ball into kind of dead centre of the 6-yard box. So
you so often sit there and think, will he do this, will he do that? I think he should go for this. It was obvious what he was going to do, I guess, is the point. There was no two ways about it. This is what Elise will do, this is what he'll hope for. I should tell you that Ayew's just sat up for Palace, so, well, can they patch him up for half time? We've had nearly 2 minutes of the stoppage here, so we'll have a fair bit added on at half time. But whether Ayew, who is fully bandaged, the fact they've bandaged him up on the field would suggest that he will be given a go to keep going. Of course, a concussion check will have had to have been done. So, well, most importantly, he's sitting up, and that's all we really need to worry about this side. Wilf Zaha's come across to have a long chat with Patrick Vieira. He hasn't seen much of this half so far, Zaha.
No, he hasn't. They've been really aggressive with him. I think, you know, that's probably the best course of action, but Christensen's been ever so tight. As soon as the ball's been slipped into his feet, invariably it's been with his back to goal. He's not been able to run onto anything. So Leeds have done a pretty good job with that. They've just started to remonstrate a few times. There's been a few little niggles from Leeds players when they're trying to get in close proximity with Wilf Zaha, but yeah, they've marshalled him fairly well to this point. I think the little tinker of the system, though, is interesting from Patrick Vieira. Since then, Elise's definitely had a little bit more joy on the right-hand side, and Jordan Ayew's become well, he's always been an important player for Palace because of his versatility, and most managers have picked him, you know, frequently, even despite the lack of goals during the you know, large portions of his Palace career. So he's a brilliant team player, and they'll need him to stay fit, because I think that's just kind of just swung the momentum back in Palace's favour, having him play in the middle of the pitch.
Yeah, off he goes. That heavily bandaged head, so as you say, clearly a cut. Just having looked, it looks like that bandage a little bit heavier over the right eye, perhaps just over the right eyebrow of him.
Something I was talking to a friend of mine, an ex-player, about the other day. Kevin, the amount of times you were stitched up and you just got back on there without thinking about it, and I think part of it is the environment we grew up in, the era we're playing football, and you don't see it too often now, especially the forward players, and you're on there heading balls, you know, minutes after you've had stitches or patched up. So I think it is changing for the better, and it's going in the right direction, but I still think that, you know, maybe the checks need to be a little bit more thorough.
Patrick Vieira's having his own check at the moment. He's just turned to he said, "You okay?" And he's having a little peer, a little peek at it.
I wonder what they've done, because they wouldn't stitch him out on the pitch, would they? So maybe I don't know what they've done.
Get him through to half time. I don't know. Well,
yeah, maybe
60 seconds left of the first half, but I reckon that stoppage was nigh on 5 minutes. So there was the VAR check as well. We're going to have an awful lot of stoppage time here in the first half, is the point. But Ayew's back on. There's the applause from the crowds. They packed Selhurst Park as ever. They always do turn out in great number here in South London. Here's Eze on the ball as play resumes. Tries to push it forward to Zaha, turns it around the corner for the run of Ayew, can't do so. The Leeds fans just seen them shielding their eyes on that far side of the pitch. It's bathed in sunshine, the opposite side of the ground from where we're sat, so that, well, if you haven't got sunglasses on, it's almost all of them. They're saluting on that far side, aren't they? 5 minutes of stoppage time signals. Probably got away with it there. It could have been a fair bit more, I fancy. But 5 minutes of stoppage time in the first half here at Selhurst Park. And it will be, well, a half that Leeds will look back on and think they've played very much their part, carrying out the orders they'd have been sent out with today. Very happy with their performance, I'm sure, but pegged back by that Edwards equaliser. What will this 5 minutes hold before the break? It almost feels like a little mini half inside itself here, because of the length of the break and the length of the stoppage that we'll now have through to the break. Who can win this little battle? Zaha's on the far side, the near side, sorry, trying to jink one way and then the other once more, but can't sidestep the challenge. He does win a throw-in though, which is taken by Schlupp back towards the halfway line. He cleverly steps inside a challenge, but then gives a square pass to Dacour in the centre of midfield, and now Palace under a little bit of pressure, and it's Ayew who stretches out a leg, and he'll be lucky not to see yellow for this as well. He was late on it, and that one felt cynical also as he put in the challenge on Rodrigo.
He just hesitated, didn't he, Rodrigo, because Leeds were in business momentarily. He gets something of the ball, but it's not enough. He goes through Rodrigo as well, so it's the right decision from Paul Tierney. And there was a previous coming together there where I think Dacour just pulled out of another challenge, because he's obviously in a predicament where he can't really make one right now. So that's another decision for Patrick Vieira to make. If he doesn't make it at half time, maybe, you know, into the second half you may have to withdraw him.
Free kick for Leeds. Can it be they who take advantage of these extra minutes at the end of the first half? Right footed, it's hung up into the area, drilled low and headed away by the Palace back line. Should be a comfortable one for Gaeta, and it is. Again, anything in the air today has been fine for him. He looks for an early long punt downfield, instead rolls it to Ayew, who's deep inside of his own half. There's a clever little interchange with Eze, who now gets it over the top. This is a wonderful ball. Onside is Edouard, left edge of the box. He's going to get a shot away, but it's deflected. It was a tame effort anyway. The offside flag eventually goes up. Well, I tell you what, it'd be interesting to see, was that definitely offside? We see a replay of it. It was good work from Ayew, and Eze in the end it was good call by the official. He was just half a yard as he tried to angle that run in behind the back, but he was already gone.
Yeah, terrific movement actually. It was Tyler Adams, I think, the deepest Leeds player when the ball actually came down out of the sky. Lovely movement in between the two centre halves. They didn't track it at all.
He's Zaha on the near side, the left, but deep inside of his own half. Back to Schlupp, all the way back to Gaeta in goal, who will send this one towards the far side of the pitch, where it will bounce straight out of play. And we have got 2 minutes left of the added odd time in the first half here at Selhurst Park. Crystal Palace 1, Leeds 1 in the Premier League. Saturday lunchtime, another busy Sunday of football action, which certainly been a busy first half here at Selhurst Park. Plenty to talk about, plenty to think about, more so for the hosts and for Patrick Vieira at half time. So here's a long ball forward for Zaha. It's not to say that his side couldn't grab something here before the break and have an unlikely lead at the interval. 90 seconds remain of it. It's gone all the way back to Gaeta in goal again. They do want to be a possession-based team, Palace, don't they? Here's Eze, lovely little drag down the line with his right foot, then drags it back with his right foot on the halfway line, and he's fouled by Adams. He'll do well to not go in the book for that one, but the referee, well, as much as cynical, it just felt as though he was leaving a bit on the player there more than anything, because he wasn't particularly going anywhere on the halfway line. But one lovely piece of skill was clearly too much for Adams, and when he got the chance after the second one, he decided his foot was staying in on it. Ayew has won a free kick on the far side of the pitch as he holds off 3 players, and it will be a free kick which Ayew takes quickly. Took it off Ward to Anderson, who sprays a beautiful pass cross fields, angles towards this near side, and Zaha back to Schlupp. Schlupp will go all the way back to Gueye, who's now going to have to loop back to Gaeta, whose kick is true on this occasion, but so many occasions we've had to wonder on that. I think Zaha is onside on this near side, is he? No, he's offside. Flag's gone up, and free kick to Leeds. Got 20 seconds left of the first half here on BBC Radio London, also on BBC Radio 5 Sports Extra. Sam Parkin and myself, Kevin Ham, bringing you the commentary on this one. Remonstrations on the touchline, this time from a Leeds point of view, and well, Graham Scott's the 4th official for this one. I think he's had it from both sides. Leeds certainly with that VAR decision for Edouard's equaliser. Here come Leeds though, as that stabbed ball forward may well be the last kick of the first half, and it is half-time at Selhurst Park. One that the visitors very much dominated and very much deserved their lead. Aronson with a wonderful chinking run from the near side, the right-hand flank, one way then the other, into the area past 4 Palace defenders, and really a shot and a run deserving of a goal inside of the left foot. It was against the post, deflects back out. I'm looking towards the near side because at the moment Elise Schlupp in fact and Zaha are having a really heated debate, the left back and the left winger. Again, it's an area that hasn't particularly worked in the first half for Palace, not much has, but they had the equaliser through Elise's free kick, which was swung in beautifully behind that Leeds back line, and Edouard with a simple tap-in header, really as simple as you can imagine. VAR had to have a look at it, they said it was fine. Bamford with another clear opportunity thereafter from Leeds, who will be disappointed perhaps that they don't have the lead at the break, but plenty to think about for Palace. They're the ones who've got to get their thinking hats on at half-time. Leeds will be trying to say much of the same and continue the domination of the first half that we've seen here at Selhurst Park on BBC Radio London and 5 Live Sports Extra. We'll be back for full commentary in the second period, but half-time here at Selhurst Park, it's Crystal Palace 1, Leeds United 1.
Who were killed by an explosion at a petrol station in a village in County Donegal. 4 men, 3 women, 2 teenagers and a young girl all died on Friday. And more than 1,300 people who've received football banning orders in England and Wales are being told to hand their passports to the police from Friday. It's to prevent them from travelling to the World Cup in Qatar.
Giant of stature, strong of body, bold of heart. From many lands they come to do battle. It's time for warriors to charge and legends to be made.
Yeah, go. Follow the men's, women's and wheelchair rugby league World Cups and the Women's Rugby World Cup. On BBC 5 Live, 5 Sports Extra and BBC Sounds.
More live Premier League football than anyone else.
5 Live's Premier League Sunday.
With Steve Crossman.
Half-time whistle has now gone at Selhurst Park, so it's Crystal Palace 1, Leeds United 1, and it's also 1-1 in our commentary game, which is West Ham versus Fulham. We'll be at the Emirates shortly ahead of Arsenal-Liverpool. We're bringing you that in full at 4:30. Red Bull's Max Verstappen has been crowned Formula 1 world champion for the second time, and just like last year, it was in chaotic and dramatic circumstances. Torrential rain meant that only 28 of the scheduled 53 laps were possible at the Japanese Grand Prix. Verstappen took the win for the 12th time this season, but then there was the confusion at the end of the race. Ferrari Charles Leclerc was demoted to third behind the other Red Bull of Sergio Perez because he ran wide at the final chicane, and with the FIA then awarding full points, it meant Verstappen was eventually crowned champion.
It was a bit yes or no, then again yes, and then I was still not sure. I think it all depends of course, what was written in the rules, right? How you give the points. So once everyone figured that out, then it was clear. But yeah, pretty special, of course, to win it here. I mean, that was the perfect scenario to win it here, and we did that. Of course, let's say a little bit delayed, but still very happy to win it. The race as well. I mean, the car was again on fire, and I really didn't have any issues today. We could look after our tires, but yeah, looking back at the season we've had so far, it's been pretty impressive, but also really enjoyable for most of it. Something, we really have to remind ourselves of a few times. We're always very focused on performance, but you also have to look back at what you actually achieved, and really enjoy the moment.
That was Max Verstappen. There was anger and some disbelief as well at an incident at the start of the race. A recovery vehicle ended up making its way onto the track in wet conditions. Lando Norris of McLaren said it was unacceptable, and Sergio Perez described it as the lowest point we've seen in the sport in years. The FIA will investigate. England have beaten Australia by 8 runs in the first of 3 T20 internationals ahead of the World Cup. England made 208 for 6 from their 20 overs, half centuries for Alex Hales and captain Joss Buttler. Mark Wood then took 3 wickets, and the hosts were restricted to 200 for 9. In reply, here's what Buttler said after the match.
Yeah, it's a great game of cricket, very entertaining, and obviously we're delighted to get over the line.
There's some nervous moments in that second innings?
Yeah, absolutely. I thought Australia played really well. They put us under a lot of pressure. We're favourites, I'd say, for a large part of that chase, and we needed to take wickets, and that's what we did.
What about individually? It was such an impressive start from you, 4 fours off that first over. That must have felt good for your first game in about 7 weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got lots of experience now, but anytime you don't play for a while, you're a bit unsure how you'll go. So it was nice to get a boundary early. That made me quite settled, and I just really enjoyed the game, the occasion, and being out there in the middle.
At the Women's Rugby Union World Cup, Wales edged past Scotland 18 points to 15 thanks to an 84th minute penalty from scrum half Ciara Bevan. Watching the match, former Wales centre Alex Donovan and Radio Wales rugby reporter Chris Wathen.
Late drama for Wales. They got the win that they so desperately needed in this opening game.
Yeah, definitely. They definitely needed it, and they knew that going in. You could see the emotions are so high, but so is the passion. And you can see that right till the end. And I think it showed a lot of confidence and character to fight till the end.
Johan Cunningham wanted his side ready for this, had them training all through the summer to be prepared. And even though there was a lot of disappointing elements in the performance, a lot of frustration, they were still in that game and still going for that game right in the bitter stages, and they got their reward.
There is still a lot to learn. They'll take good and bad points from that game. I think Scotland were really unlucky that they didn't actually take the opportunity when they came, and Wales will really look back on that and think, did we do well enough? Probably not, but they got the win, and that's what they needed.
Is discipline a problem for Wales?
It's always been a problem for Wales, but today it wasn't as bad as it has been in the past, but they were almost lucky that Scotland didn't score more because of their discipline.
And in terms of those nerves of steel at the end from Ciara Bevan, not known as a regular goal kicker, were you surprised that they went for the posts?
I wasn't surprised they went for the posts. I was surprised that Ciara took it, even though she practices all the time. As much as she's not the kicker of the squad, she is there with all the kickers, kicking for posts just in case. And for moments like this, she has always wanted to be the kicker. She just never gets the opportunity. And the opportunity she gets, what chance.
It's set up Wales really nicely in this tournament. New Zealand, Black Ferns to come next week, one of the favourites for the tournament. Then Australia is a game that Wales have been targeting. They should be on course to the quarterfinals now, and the pressure is off.
Yeah, definitely. And I think they're going to go into next week's game just purely to see where they are. They want to measure themselves against some of the best in the world. They don't often play against New Zealand, so they're going to take this opportunity, but they're probably going to try and enjoy it more. They've got their eye on Australia and Scotland. They want to beat those, and they think they can beat those. But with New Zealand, they're probably more realistic. There's still a chance that they could win, but realistically, they're going into that game to see where they are and to enjoy the game.
Alex Donovan and Radio Wales' Chris Wathen. Elsewhere, there were wins for Italy and Canada over the USA and Japan, respectively. Right, 2 games in Rugby Union's Premiership, both kicking off at 3 o'clock. Newcastle host third place Saracens at Kingston Park. And at Coventry, it's Wasps against Northampton. That's where we find Adam Whitty.
Yes, Steve, sunny skies above as two of Premiership slow starters go head-to-head in the West Midlands. Overshadowing this somewhat, though, a Wasp struggles off the field. There are fears this might be their last game ever here. More on that in a second. Wasp's second bottom ahead of today's game was set to bring in starman Vincent Cott, the World Cup winning tight head, for his first appearance, but he's ill and misses out as part of 2 late changes to their starting 15 and 7 overall from victory at Bath a fortnight ago. Northampton, who have won 1 of their last 5, makes 6 changes from defeated Harlequins. Fullback George Furbank can break a Premiership record today if he scores in his 9th straight league match. Also notable is Dan Bigger's inclusion for Northampton. The fly half announced he'll leave the club at the end of the season, though we don't know where to yet, intriguingly. A man who's characterised Saint's free-flowing, exciting style. He'll be a great miss for the Premiership. We don't see many Welsh players in the division due to the WRU's 60 cap rule, and not only is he a world-class 10, but an articulate and authoritative voice on the game. When he talks, we tend to listen. But to the bigger story, which is that Wasps are in real trouble. A significant risk that a second Premiership club could be suspended or be relegated after 5 rounds so far, after Worcester suffered that fate earlier this week when their players' contracts were terminated. Wasps have filed a second notice to appoint administrators. They owe the taxman, they need to repay bonds to investors. Now, the club are at pains to stress they are not in administration. The games will go ahead and have called for calm heads and more time to get the money they need, with lots of investors interested. But they've got no money, Steve. That's the issue, and they need a lot of help. So the game has just got underway. It's 0-0 here at the Ricoh.
Adam, thank you very much. We've got second half commentary on the way from the London Stadium. West Ham 1, Fulham 1. It's also 1-1 in the game between Crystal Palace and Leeds United. After that, we'll be at the Emirates, 4:30, live commentary on Premier League Sunday of Arsenal versus Liverpool. That's where we find Ali Bruce Ball. Afternoon, Ali.
Hi, Steve. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm quite jealous, actually, because people seem to be saying the atmosphere at the Emirates is something special these days.
Well, not only that, Steve, but you've just got the real feeling. It is a massive game this afternoon because we're going to get real pointers, aren't we, towards where these two teams are potentially heading this season. And you can feel it all around the ground. It was a real crawl in the traffic to get to the Emirates Stadium today, and you can see the fans in their replica shirts sort of streaming towards the stadium in the sunshine. Came into the press room. I've not seen it as busy or as sort of excited or as expectant as that for quite a long time. A real sort of hum of animated conversation, and just loads of. Well, I mean, it's not going to be decisive by any means today, but I just think, particularly from Arsenal's point of view, if they win the game, they go back to the top of the table. They're playing fabulously at the moment. Do they have the self-belief, this young group of players, to try and assert themselves against the Liverpool team, who've since Jurgen Klopp's time have really had the wood on them in the Premier League, but they've got their own struggles at the moment. So it's going to be absolutely fascinating today.
Since Jurgen Klopp's time is the pertinent point, and it's the question he was asked about. We heard from him earlier, and we'll bring that to you again before kickoff. But the question of his 7 years in charge, and the answer basically was, if you think I'm tired, I'm not.
Yeah, well, exactly, Stephen. I think, whether we'll hear that answer again or not, I know it was on earlier in the show, but I just thought the really interesting thing about that was he went into real depth about his 7 years at Mainz, his 7 years at Dortmund, and what happened at the end of each spell, and how this is a totally different set of circumstances. So, we'll see how he copes. I think the thing I'm really interested in as well, Stephen, we'll get news of it, in about half an hour's time, is the Liverpool team lineup, because you looked at it against Rangers in the Champions League on Wednesday. Salah, Jota, Diaz and Darwin all started. Will he go as positive as that this afternoon with just a sort of 2-man central midfield? It's just another really interesting factor, I think.
Yeah, very good point, Ali. Thank you very much. Full commentary on the way from the Emirates with Ali Bruce Ball and Glenn Murray. When we get that Liverpool team news in about 27 minutes' time, then we will bring it to you. Ali will be here with it, but we've got second half commentary on the way in the Premier League. So we'll keep you up to date with Crystal Palace against Leeds United, which is 1-1 at half-time. But our focus is on the London Stadium, West Ham against Fulham, and Steve Sidwell is with Chris Wise.
Thank you, Steve. And we're hoping really that the second half matches the intensity of the first, because it really has been a good game between these two London foes so far, West Ham and Fulham. It is West Ham who have, over the years, had the better record over Fulham. In fact, they haven't lost in the last 4 meetings with them. They won here in November 2020. That was the last time West Ham beat Fulham. Thomas Soucek scored a penalty in the 91st minute, or scored a goal, I should say, in the 91st minute. And I don't know if you remember this, Steve, Ademola Lookman's penalty in the 98th minute to get a point for Fulham. and he did a Panenka, and it all went horribly wrong. Here come West Ham, started the second half. Reed's cut out the ball in the box. Skamaka's lifted it back in for West Ham. Fornals is trying to bring down the bouncing ball on the left side of the box, has given it to Fornals. Now with Rice and back with Creswell on the left. We'll bring you the team news in just a moment. No changes for either at the break. Fornals to Creswell, to the byline, cutting back on his left foot. And the low shot was from Paquetá towards the near post. And I think that Bernd Leno not only got hands on it, but just about stopped it eking behind for a corner.
I'm not sure if that was a shot or come across that he's just sort of missed time there. It didn't look like a shot. If it was, there was some hell of a disguise on it. But anyway, tested Leno down to his right-hand side. Good start for West Ham. Interesting to see Dawson as well. We was looking at him, wasn't we, back into the first half to see how he would come out. He's moving a lot better. He was very walking around gingerly, wasn't he, thinking what it was. So it'd be interesting to see how long he can go into this second half for West Ham. But like we said again, the depth that they've got, especially on that bench, it's worthy of one of the top of the Premier League. That.
Yeah, here come Fulham with Cabano on the right side. 2 minutes into this second half. West Ham 1, Fulham 1. Now De Cordova-Reid wanted to play the 1-2 with Reed, but the 1 came, but the 2 didn't really. It was just slightly wayward of Reed as it went in towards him, and it's Paquetá with some absolutely glorious feet to drag it away from Harrison Reed. Does get the free kick, but only after sort of jumping up and down, a bit like a petulant toddler, really, in the direction of Chris Kavanagh, hoping the whistle came. Eventually it did.
And again, that's what you get when you play overseas, and any contact that you get when you get away from a player, automatically you get that advantage of giving a free kick. He's not going to be getting that week in, week out in the Premier League, so he has to get used to that.
So West Ham free kick. They've got Fabianski in goal. Kieran Dawson.
Well, a very good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to Selhurst Park. 1 apiece here at the break in the Premier League. Leeds taking the lead early on, and deservedly so through that first half. Perhaps a little unlucky to be 1 apiece at half-time. Leeds are out early for the second period, just casting a quick eye around their team. No real surprises, no changes for Leeds after a dominant first half display here, as they look to get back to winning ways and on the road as well. And it wouldn't be a bad scalp at all for them to take Crystal Palace, who join us now, heading out. And first look is Jordan Ayew, head heavily bandaged, is making his way out. Easy to spot with that heavy bandaging on. So he was the most likely if there's going to be a change for Palace, but it looks as though Patrick Vieira's gone as you were and has told the Eagles to get out there and get on with it, because the first half didn't go to plan, whether that was through execution, whether that was in the planning, whether there'll be any tinkering, any changing. It'll be first in the tactics from the Eagles, you'll imagine, if they are to try and assert themselves in this game, which they struggle to do so. You're listening to BBC Radio 5 Sports Extra with commentary from BBC Radio London as well. Myself, Kevin Hand, and Sam Parkins alongside me for this one. Sunny afternoon, but not too delightful so far for Palace. Relief mostly for the hosts.
Yeah, I don't think they played particularly well until the last 15 minutes or so, and there for the taking, really. You know, Leeds have got to capitalise when they're so on top early part of the game. One half chance for Patrick Bamford and a really presentable one. Should have seen them 2-0 ahead, but Palace have rallied since that kind of half-hour point, and last 15 minutes, much more even game, much more like the Palace we've grown accustomed to know here at Selhurst. And you know, giving up so many points from winning positions this season, maybe they'll prefer to be doing the chasing for once. So yeah, hopefully a better all-round performance from Palace to look forward to in this second half.
It is Leeds that have got us underway in the second period. A little bit of shirts tugging going on between the man who opened the scoring today, Strick, who is... He just got a little shove thereafter by Elise, who was... The ref was walking over, looking straight at them when Tierney gave it when Elise gave it the last little push. Not Mr. Tierney, he just piped on his whistle. He didn't push anyone, I should say. He pipes on his whistle again, though, because that comes to nothing. It goes straight for a free kick to Palace. Indeed, I thought they were giving it for a throw-in, but it is a free kick to Palace. Let me take you through the sides then. Gaeta in goal for Palace, Ward, Anderson, Gay and Schlupp across the back for Elise, Doucouré and Eze in midfield, Ayew, Edouard and Zaha the attack. As for Leeds, just watch this pass across the back line from Palace almost getting themselves into trouble again. The free kick's given away by Rodrigo for his challenge on Guy, but I think Guy is very, very lucky there. They press high up. I mean, look, we could see it in the first half. Leeds were going to see it. I'll get Sam's thoughts on that in a moment anyway, but Meslier in goal for Leeds. Christensen, Cock and Cooper, the centre halves, struck the left back. Rocker and Adams in midfield, Aronson on the right, Rodrigo's behind Bamford and Harrison on the left. The subs bench for Palace, Mitchell, Milivojevic, Tompkins, Mateta, Hughes, Abue, and here comes a deep cross from Palace, well claimed by Gaeta in goal. Riedwald and Gordon as for Leeds on the bench. To watch Palace try and pass it out. They're getting pressed high in this second half, as you'd expect from Leeds, but it feels like it's an even higher press than the first half indeed from the visitors. But Palace do maintain possession, but back into the back line it goes. That bench for Leeds: Clayson, Ayling, Somerville, Lawrence, Kayabi, Nonto, Girlhart's, Greenwood and Klitsch, as this Palace passing move makes its way all the way across towards the dugout. Just down below is the near side, the right hand flank for the Eagles, and just in front of Patrick Vieira they've won a throw in which goes all the way across the back line again. But early look in this second half, we've only had a couple of minutes of it, nearly 3 now here on BBC Radio 5 Sports Extra and BBC Radio London. Sam Parkin is Palace very determined to get this passing game right, which really failed them in the first half because it was what they wanted to do. At no stage were they able to pull it off, but here they go, and there's room created down the left by Zaha. They've had possession for a long time. Zaha's first effort on goal, one of very few efforts really from Palace in this game so far. It was a tame inside of the right foot pass really towards the near post and a comfortable claim in goal for Meslier. But that was the result of a more efficient passing move, or just better executed passing move from Palace, better executed possession play from them, and it found that room which Zaha didn't find at all in the first half.
No, it's been a quiet game from his standards. Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult proposition when you've got a team that's closing so efficiently as Leeds do. They'll tail off a little bit, but we've seen how their style of play has caused huge problems. I mean, that game against Chelsea at Ellen Road, they absolutely blew them out of the water. It was a fantastic performance, so they'll try and continue in that vein in this second half. Whether they can keep up, we'll have to wait and see. Palace have the problem solved. You know, sometimes you have to go a little bit longer, and that's not playing speculative balls forward. That's moving players around and making sure you've got an angle and you've got someone to hit.
Patrick Vieira has just lambasted the referee, Paul Tierney, saying, where is the yellow card for the foul on Ayew? Was that a free kick? Was it a yellow card? Was it a free kick in the first place? Because actually, did Struck do much wrong, or did he just stand his ground as Ayew knocked it to one side and ran into him?
Yeah, it didn't look like it was a yellow card, but
you can understand the free kick, but goodness me, it almost felt as though he bowed to the pressure there. Here's Elise with a free kick, doesn't even make it past the edge of the D as it's headed clear by Bamford, only up into the air. Tierney, the referee, now is having to shield his eyes as an early cross comes in from Zaha on the left, looking to try and whip it in behind that back line of Leeds. Can't do so, and it's going to be pumped clear by the visitors down the far side of the pitch to right, where he'll go to play for a throw in to Crystal Palace. It felt to me as though that press was even greater in the second half, as though Leeds were onto the fact, as we were throughout that first period, that back line passing from Crystal Palace was not perhaps looking up to the standard that it should be. They seem to be getting themselves into many a situation they didn't want to be in particular their goalkeeper Gaeta again this week, as they did, as we were saying, last Saturday against Chelsea. Here's a free kick for Palace, is it? No, it's gone the other way to Leeds, as they didn't look particularly impressed by the decision. What did you make of the three-man midfield, who I thought did really well against Chelsea last week in Elise, Takor and Eze? They've been up against it this week against Leeds, though, haven't they? It's actually been a far more difficult week this week than it was against Chelsea for them.
Well, I think they were early part of the game, and I think that's why Patrick Vieira changed and put Jordan Ayew in there, because the legs, the energy of Leeds was just too much for him to cope for early on, and I think he's improved them actually, and it's got Elise, into the wide position, able to get one-on-one with a full-back on a few occasions in the first half. They look Jordan Ayew, for all he gives the team when you're playing wide right, I think you're missing out on having one of those more gifted technicians out there, which Michael Elise clearly is.
Deep ball in, which is headed goalwards. Well, Elise, it was speculative in some ways that he just decided, I'm going to put it up there, and Edouard managed to get ahead to it. It looped up towards that far post and under the crossbar. Meslier just needed to make sure that he was comfortable with his claim. He was. He landed back onto the post, but kind of buffered himself with it rather than being too damaged by the fall onto the post. It's going to be a throw-in on the near side here on BBC Radio London with BBC Radio 5 Sports Extra. We've had 7 minutes in the second half. That's really been the biggest talking point so far, that one. But here's Ayew inside of his own half, forward towards Edouard. Elise comes back to Ayew. They have kept it. They're virtually on the edge of their own box at the moment, but they pass it and spread it towards the far side of the pitch. And it's Schlupp who heads down the line with the ball towards the 18-yard box. He goes. He's got all the way to the touchline, tries to get his cross in. It goes out for a goal kick. It was a nice bit of play to work their way out of their own half, but goodness me, it was heart in your mouth stuff again, though, it felt for me. It was so tight in there for Palace. Vieira's clearly been determined to stick with it, though. I wanted to maintain that passing game, which goes right the way through to the academy here at Palace. Be a goal kick, which Leeds will go long with, I think. Yes, they will. They'll push their players upfield. And it remains Crystal Palace 1, Leeds 1. A bright enough start to the second half from Palace, who've had a better passing game on display, which very nearly opened things up for Zaha on the far side. In fact, he's had one effort, which was tamely towards the keeper after a good passing move from them. Leeds still pressing high, but it feels as though Palace have been able to get their foot on the ball far better in this second period. It remains, though, with 8 minutes gone in the second half, Crystal Palace 1, Leeds 1. And it's going to be a throw-in on the far side. In fact, a free kick on the far side to Leeds, who knocked the ball forward with Adams. It's knocked back to him by Zaha in that usual to and fro in of to you, to me, before they eventually settle on where the kick's taken. And taken short but pumped early towards the head of Bamford. It bounces through towards Gaeta in goal. And one apiece it remains. He deals it out early towards Ward, the Palace skipper, on the near side towards Ayew. Little layoff inside for Decore. Tries to slip it back to Ayew. He can't do so, as managing to keep his legs closed. Rodrigo prevented the nutmeg, which Decore was attempting. So Leeds now managed to put their foot on it, send it down the near sides. That pass going to be too long. Kept in play it is by the goal scorer. And a free kick, or corner indeed, sorry, is one on that near side by Pascal Struck. And it will be a chance to whip it in for the number 11 who comes across, Jack Harrison. It's going to have Brendan Aronson for company, so the two wingers combine on that corner kick to decide what they'll do with it. Left-footed away, right-footed in towards the goal of Gaeta, who's got a nasty sun to look into on that far side. He's not shielding his eyes, no cap either, as here comes right-footed. Under the bar it goes, but headed away. And no surprise, I think in the end they did go with the right footer to whip that corner in, because that looked nasty for Gaeta. Here's Zaha trying to get on the edge of the clearance, but it's tidied up by the Leeds back line. They still have it on the near side with Harrison. Inside it goes for Adams. Adams will look to spray it wide right and then rolls it just a few yards towards Liam Cooper, the Leeds skipper, who gets it back again from Meslier after Edouard looked to press both of them. Now Struck sends the ball forward, and it's not a bad ball. Indecision from Gaeta in goal. It does eventually bounce through to him, but I don't think anybody in the park, perhaps even Gaeta in the end, thought that it was going to bounce through to him as Bamford was closing down. It really didn't look as though the ball had the legs to make it through to the Palace keeper on the edge of the box, but it did in the end. 10 minutes gone in the second period, still one apiece.
Yeah, surprised that Bamford didn't get onto that one as well. It feels like I've got it in for him this afternoon. He just looks a little bit short of conviction, I suppose, because he's been out for a while. I think he just played the opening game of the season, didn't he? And he looks a little bit that he's lacking in sharpness, because that was a really good ball from Struijk forward into a great area. I think a more fit Patrick Bamford maybe gets onto that, maybe takes it round the goalkeeper, because he certainly kind of read the situation better than the Crystal Palace defender on that occasion.
Palace have 1-1 drawn 3 and lost 3 so far this season. But a win here would put them level on points with Leeds, as here's Eze rolling it into the area, great chance, Ayew, what a tackle, wow, that's an amazing tackle by Christensen, who leaps to his feet and punches the air in celebration. Well, that was as good as a goal, wasn't it, from the right back?
Yeah, the initial ball wasn't even meant for Eze. I think it was meant for a Palace player coming short, but what a pass from Eze. You know, most players would have just slung that into an area, but he fed it into the feet of Jordan Ayew, received it, and as you said, that's a fantastic goal-saving challenge from Christensen, coming across and making the intervention.
Really looks as though he'd get that shot in. Well, he did get the shot in, but blocked, of course. Here's the header from the corner, which is looped towards the goalkeeper, who's under pressure from Schlupp to not stop him getting it out early. And Paul Tierney, now I think it's just going to be a talking to for Schlupp on this occasion. It feels as though he's almost reacted to the crowd on each occasion when there's been a decision to make as to whether there's a yellow. Boos go around Selhurst Park for Meslier picking himself up and seeming okay after dropping to the ground under the pressure from Schlupp. And the early pressure was put on the ref for the yellow card from those Leeds fans on the far side, who are all still shielding their eyes. And he crossed from this side of the pitch, the near side that we sit, so there's a cross from the right for Meslier, a cross from the left. More so, I think, for Gaeta, there's a slight angle on it, which will make it a little easier for Meslier, but that's easy set up here, saying it's Gaeta that definitely has the harder task of the two. It's Palace in the centre of the pitch with the ball, and slip forward just about that pass from Takor to make it through to Edwards, and now on the near side it's Elise, inside onto his left foot, goes for goal, straight at the keeper. The former Reading man has a rasping left foot when he lets go and connects on that one. Reasonable connection, but straight at the keeper. Selhurst Park really finding their voice in the second half. It does feel like a better second period for the hosts.
Yeah, really direct play from Elise, just lacked the direction really on that strike, needed to get it right into the far corner to have a chance of beating Meslier. So a comfortable save in the end, but yeah, Palace just coming back into it, and Leeds as an attacking force, I'd say, lost their way somewhat since the start of the second half, not looking nearly as threatening as they were in the opening 45.
Here's a ball from Elise, chipped up towards the back post. Oh, just couldn't get up high enough. Edouard, he managed to get up high enough over the defence, couldn't get up high enough over the cross to keep the header down. Over it goes, but again, Palace chance, who's building quickly here in this second half, and we barely had one but for the goal to talk of in the first.
Yeah, brilliant switch of play there, just a little bit slow to get back in, the wide player of Leeds United, and difficult chance because it's hung up really, and you're having to get up early there and kind of force the header downwards. And actually Christensen had given it up. Zaha was behind Edouard completely unopposed if Edouard would have been aware of his teammate's position, but that was a hard chance really from Edouard to get that on the target.
They've been the draw specialists since the start of last season. Crystal Palace 18 draws, which is unrivalled in the top flight since the start of last term. Drawing at the moment here, one apiece, but on the attack with Ayew. Ref Tierney waves play on to Zaha, left edge of the 18-yard box, inside onto his right, goes for a curling effort, comes out to Court, but now it's a lovely 1-2, which Bamford lays off towards the near side, and it's going to be a chance to slip it through, but it doesn't come off for Rodrigo. It was a 1-2 between Bamford, I think, was it Harrison on that far side, or on the counter-attack. Just managed to open up for a moment, Palace, and the game itself is far wider open in this second period than it was in the first, which Leeds managed to really suffocate Palace at times. But Palace have got their passing game going now. Leeds have still got their press going. What'll give here at Selhurst in this second period, if anything? It's 2 defeats in 9 at home for Palace. We do wonder whether it's going to be the home form that's going to be so crucial for them. There are those that feel their league position at the moment isn't a true reflection because of the teams that they've played. Indeed, 2 of those home defeats were against Arsenal on the opening day and Chelsea last week. Those other defeats this year, Man City, Liverpool, have played some big teams already. Here's ball given away by Takore, who gets a tackle back in. Oh, goodness me. Sam Parkin and I look at each other. That was edge of your seat stuff. He's on a yellow card. He's virtually had a warning, would say, from referee Paul Tierney. And Well, he's going to have to be careful. In the meantime, at the other end, it's Zaha who's sprinting forward down the left-hand flank into the area, gets a deflected shot away, and it is out for... Did it deflect? I thought that was out for a corner. No complaints from Palace, though. It's a goal kick to Leeds, and it's going to be a substitution. And that's the day done for Patrick Bamford. Somerville is going to replace him, but as you said, he looked a little leggy today, Bamford, and his time's done after just over an hour.
Yeah, he looked tired in this second half, but just as I was thinking he was going to get withdrawn, well, the substitute's been getting ready for a few minutes now, and we was waiting on the touchline to come on. Bamford had a couple of his best bits of involvement there, a couple of nice touches in the middle of the pitch, and very nearly got onto a return ball from Rodrigo. But the game's getting really nicely stretched now. Zaha, just a couple of occasions he's gone with such intensity on the far side, full speed at the fullback, and just needs to slow down. They were in great situation. I think 4v3 previously, that was a 4v4. I think there was maybe a pass on, just looking to come in field and get a strike away where there may have been a better option. So yeah, really enjoyable last 5 minutes or so, both teams having a go.
Still attention needed in the centre of the pitch for Ayew. Is it just patching up the bandage for him? Which well, it was a worrying one, that head collision after a corner kick for Leeds in the first half. What a piece it is here at Selhurst Park. Streak with that early strike for Leeds. The leveller coming from Edouard's header from Elise's free kick. Bamford, who's gone off now, having the best other chance for Leeds in that first half, and I guess really in this second period it felt as though Leeds could open up. There weren't that many goal scoring opportunities other than the one-on-one for Bamford, but in the second half it's been much more the Eagles. Patrick Vieira will be far happier. He sent them out pretty much same game plan as first, just better executed in the second, it seems, from Crystal Palace. And it is indeed Leeds, I'd say, you've got a little bit more of the thinking to do, which isn't the way the roles were going in at half-time. Tyreek Mitchell looks as though he's coming on for Palace. I was slightly surprised that Mitchell was overlooked for Schlupp this week. Drop out for or from that game against Chelsea, as Klein was. Anderson returning from injury. Schlupp coming in for Mitchell. Here come the substitutions. 28 for 4. Is excuse me. Well, it's going to be Takuru comes off. I've got to imagine that's the yellow card that he's on. And Milivojevic comes on for Palace. Ayew's coming off as well.
Yeah, I mean, I can't believe he went for that previous challenge to Takuru. Patrick Vieira must have been hands on his head thinking, what are you doing? It was timed to perfection, to be honest. I'd imagine this will mean Jeffrey Schlupp into midfield, won't it?
Yeah, Mitchell's on for, I was just waiting confirmation of that, you're right, it's Mitchell on for Ayew, so Schlupp will move forward.
It just shores them up and gives them a little bit more legs in there, a bit more tenacity. Obviously Milivojevic will just hold, so it has that nice balance and just allows Elise, Zaha and Edouard to go on and try and win the game.
It is play resuming with a punt up into the air from Palace. It was a speculative ball into their half and an early touch for Milivojevic, who well, just had to sky it really under pressure in the second period, midway inside of his own half. First touch for him. Guess he didn't want it to be a bad one in a dangerous position. His surge forward for Leeds down that inside right, which results in a free kick. Quite see who went down. Was it the sub? It was Somerville who went down under challenge. Challenge coming indeed from one of the other subs, the man who just skied it into the air, Luka Milivojevic. So free kick to Leeds, and Aronson right-footed. Will he swing it away from goal? Will it be the left foot of Harrison? We shall see. Very similar position to where Elise put the ball in for Edouard in the first half. It is the left foot. It is a very similar ball. My goodness me. Almost a carbon copy. Well, it was a carbon copy of the Elise ball, but on this occasion, Nobody played the Edouard role to put a forehead onto it. Managed to dip and bounce across the face of goal, and, well, a dangerous, dangerous free kick. I think Leeds will be very disappointed that nobody's got a touch on the end of that one. One apiece it remains.
Yeah, there was only one player, I think, that was in kind of close proximity when the ball landed. I think Rodrigo tried to flick it near post, but there was no Leeds player making the dart towards the far post, so it just sailed behind quite comfortably.
Here's Aronson on the near side, the left-hand flank, little 1-2, tries to get towards the corner flag, down the line he goes, but cross steps towards, a punt that one out of play on the near side for a throw-in. It's still Crystal Palace 1, Leeds 1 here, but a much better second period for the Eagles at Selhurst Park. Zaha's been lively. Ayew's had to come off though. He's had a good first half, even though it wasn't much of a game in the first 45 for the Eagles, but a head injury, heavily strapped up, meant that he only saw, 20 minutes of the second period. So they've sent on Tyreek Mitchell, Schlupp's gone upfield, and also, as we mentioned, those yellow cards. One indeed for Takori. He was very lucky as he slid in on the challenge, just about got something on the ball, but Patrick Vieira had seen enough. He's off as well, so Luka Milivojevic comes on into midfield. It has been Palace so far, but the Leeds have made their change as well. Patrick Bamford, who looks a little leggy today, has been replaced by Somerville, but at the moment it remains Crystal Palace 1, Leeds 1. Here's the goal kick for Leeds away to our, for Crystal Palace away to our left-hand side, after nothing particularly came of that Leeds move down the left-hand flank there a moment ago. We've had 67, 68 minutes on the clock, very nearly here at Selhurst Park. BBC Radio 5 Sports Extra and BBC Radio London together for this Sunday afternoon 2 o'clock kickoff in the Premier League. Feels as though one apiece after 70 minutes. Probably feels about right now, because Palace have had the better of the second half so far, after Leeds had so much the better of the first. A big 20 minutes coming up for both here, as Leeds looks to get back to winning ways. Palace looks to get away from the bottom three. It's just outside of the drop zone at the moment. Here's Ward pumping a long ball downfield for the run of Schlupp, who's been sent forward from what was left back position in the first half. It's over him. Put out on the near side for a throw in though by Koch coming across and making sure. Kicked it away in frustration, which delighted the Selhurst support behind the Leeds goal. Away to our right hand side. Here's Ward, the right back and the captain for Palace, takes the throw and gets it back from Elise. Chance to whip it in early, but straight to the near post and straight to the chest of Meslier. And he rolls it out early for Adams, who looks one way, looks the other, just to make sure he hasn't got too much company, and then releases a magnificent ball down the left. Jack Harrison on the run, early ball in. Oh, amazing sliding tackle comes in there from Anderson. My, how they've felt his return today. Well, we talked about Christensen's last-ditch effort to block Ayew earlier in this half. Anderson's slide there managed to block off that wonderful ball, which was heading towards the near post in the run of Somerville, and he steered it straight towards his keeper. It wasn't a back pass, it was an outstretched leg, but an important interception as we're about to hit 70 minutes here at Selhurst Park. And what a piece. Both goals coming in the first period. Can either find a way of unlocking this scoreline in the second period. It's Leeds who have it now on the far side of the pitch. Early thought of putting that ball in. He's not quite the same presence, Somerville, as Bamford was. And it's Palace who managed to eventually tidy up and run it away on the near side with Elise. Rolls it back to Anderson. Anderson takes a touch under pressure and takes a shove as well from Somerville. So it'll be a free kick, which he gets up quickly and takes. And now Milivojevic will spread it towards the far side, asking too much though. Mitchell drilled towards the far side, and it's out for a throw into Leeds in the right back position.
Yeah, it's just become a bit scrappy, hasn't it? A bit disjointed because that series of changes. Leeds have responded a little bit and started showing a little bit more life going forward since the substitution. Palace not really acclimatised to this new setup since a couple of changes. So, yeah, 1-1 looking the most obvious outcome right now, clearly, unless someone can inject a little bit more attacking impetus.
Hook around the corner for the run of Edouard, but too far ahead of him, and it's pumped downfield by Meslier. Scrambling on the far side for possession, but in doing so, Somerville gives away a free kick, which Mitchell will take quickly. Back it goes to Guy, now to Anderson. Anderson looking forward. Oh, it's a beautiful pass down the line for Schlupp. Inside the 18-yard box on the right-hand flank. Instead, he rolls it back. Here's Elise. Didn't want to go at it with his right foot. Elise swings the cross, far post, looking for Zaha. Out comes the right back, Christensen, who heads clear on that far side. He's done so well, got so far, Schlupp. Should he not have just squared it at that point, across the face of goal? Didn't back his right foot clearly. Here's a man who has a decent right foot. Zaha rolls it inside. Edouard holds it up. Zaha then stabs right-footed when he gets it back. He doesn't like the return pass he gets from Edouard. He lets him know. Either way, it's a goal kick for Leeds, and one apiece it remains with 18 minutes to go.
Yeah, again, he's found himself into that position, kind of inside left, with a shooting opportunity. I don't think there was too much wrong with that return ball.
No, I don't think so.
It was a bit firm, wasn't it? But I think the angle was still there for him to bend it towards the far post. Just lost his composure. And I'm with you, Kevin. That was a brilliant run from Anderson. Pass from Anderson, sorry. Brilliant run from Jeffrey Schlupp. It was on to just feed it across the 6-yard box, right-footed, but he didn't back that. Weaker foot turned out, and the best chance was gone.
Perhaps been a little bit too clever with it, not backing the right foot, thinking Elise behind him, he's going to roll it back for him, but Elise similarly is a left footer on the right flank, so he has to then cut inside and send it in with his left foot. It's just all overcooked.
What you have is you've got your defenders running back towards your own goal when Schlupp's going to put the ball in. As soon as it gets set back, they can adjust their position. They're all facing the ball, and it's easier to mark therefore as well. So a missed opportunity, brilliant run and a brilliant pass, deserved better.
Leeds unbeaten in all 4 home matches this season, only 1 point from 3 away games so far. Will it be a point more gained here? At half-time it felt like it could have been 3 points for taking. But it's been a much more difficult second half for the visitors from Yorkshire, as the Londoners Crystal Palace have found their way in this game. This is Eze through the centre of the park. Back it goes to Milivojevic, and now to Anderson towards the near side, and Ward down the line, signposted that, and stepping forward was Struck, who managed to pick it off. And it's now Leeds will try and interchange some short passes on this near side. Doesn't come off, and Ward hooks it clear over his shoulder. It's been interesting, the turnaround from Palace in this second half, because there's been no change, or from the off there wasn't. Obviously there's been the changes now that Vieira has made, but from the off half-time he didn't make any changes to the formation, the team. Just got a much better song out of them in the second period, which has continued for the most part, but as he said, Sam, it's just got a little scrappier.
Yeah, it's maybe calling out just to tweak 1 or 2 things, or are they going to be bold enough to go and try and take maximum points, or is a point enough to get them back on ticking over again? I'd like to see Eze playing higher. I really would. I don't think he's been able to impact the game enough this afternoon. I'd like to see him playing as a 10. You could have Schlupp and Milivojevic as the 2 sitters and get him up there around Edouard, just to have a little bit more craft in the final third, and get a little bit of support to Edouard. He's too often been isolated in the game, and I just think Eze's skills leads itself better to that position where he can really affect it.
Tackles go in. It was one of those situations where Paul Tierney, I'm sure, was desperate for the ball to deflect out of play after one of the tackles, because as every tackle kept on being fought for, they were building in intensity. There must have been 5 or 6 of them, all pretty much standing tackles, but it was almost like football actually. It was just deflecting one to the other from each swing of the leg, wasn't it? But a free kick it is eventually to Palace inside of their own half. It's going to be another substitution for Leeds in a minute. So it's going to be Klitsch who comes on, and the referee wasn't happy with the free kick. I thought he was going to point for the substitution. This is all taking a very, very long time from the officials. The official doesn't look as though he's ready with the board either, and the substitution's already made by the time he puts the board up. Off goes Brendan Harrison, who was the man who made that brilliant run for the opening goal this afternoon, which rebounded back off the posts. So slight surprise. It's Harrison that's gone off. As here is an opening for Eze, side foots his man, and goodness me, what a lovely finish. Just a small deflection into his path, and you needed to do no more for Eze. He dropped a shoulder, he sent the Leeds defender sliding the wrong way, and all of a sudden the goal opened up 18 yards out, and Eze made no mistake as he side-footed, cool as you like, from the edge of the box, and left Meslier flat-footed in goal, watching it roll past him into the bottom corner. And it's Crystal Palace 2, Leeds United 1.
Just a brilliant finish, brilliantly crafted goal actually. Zaha with a little flick, receives it from Mitchell round the corner, and was just saying it weren't me a few moments ago, Eze getting on the ball higher up, and the shift is just amazing. He takes the Leeds player, I think it's Cooper, is it, out of the game, shifts it, he's expecting the strike, and then the finish, very, very comfortable, just flashes it beyond the Leeds goalkeeper. Wonderful goal.
Goodness me, that flick from Zaha was brilliant, which makes it Crystal Palace 2, Leeds United 1. A wonderful flick from Zaha, an even better sidestep from Eze to lose his Leeds marker. 18 yards out, he's rolled it into the bottom corner. A sensational finish for him. The whole thing about the move, much like this whole second half from Palace, has been far, far better. It's Crystal Palace 2, Leeds United 1 with 13 minutes to play. Long ball forward for Leeds down this near side. I must confess, I didn't see that Zaha flick live. I only saw it on the replay. I thought it was a deflection that just rolled back towards Eze, but that flick makes that goal oh so much more special, as if it wasn't good enough from Eze. It was just a moment of magic. The best bit of play that we've seen here at Selhurst Park this afternoon from either side, I'd suggest. As much as Leeds had the dominance in the first period, they didn't quite have just that little bit of mercurial skill in the edge of the box there that we've seen from Zaha and from Eze, which came on the back again of some good short passing, which Palace admirably came out with again in the second half, and it's worked a lot better for them in this period than it did in the first when Leeds were in the ascendancy. It's a ball bumping around in the air inside of the Palace half at the moment. Eventually it's Palace that are able to put their foot through it and send it up to Zaha, who's fouled by the right back Christensen. He's going into the book. Frustration goes for Leeds, delight grows for the home support. And what do we got? 11 and a half minutes. Well, it was Palace that had to turn things around at half-time, Sam Park, and it's Leeds coming into the final 10 minutes now. What changed for them? We talked about Palace. What changed from them from such a dominant first half to a second half where they've been the team who perhaps had to scratch their head more and play catch-up a little bit more?
Well, I don't think they had that real clinical edge to their game. They arguably should have been 2-0 up at half-time, and I think that belief's probably just seeped out of them, not getting that second goal. The changes so far hasn't had the required effect either to give them a little bit more oomph, and I think that's probably the difference. That the match winners, Palace have got people who can produce moments out of nothing. Eze, Elise, Zaha. Leeds at this moment in time don't have those match winners, I don't think, and they've been a bit subdued in this second half. Still time for them, that said, to get at least a share of the spoils, but while you've got someone like Eze on the pitch, he's always liable to do something like that. Brilliant quality they've got in the final third now.
Free kick once again for Palace, that one that was won by Zaha. They've basically picked themselves up. Want another free kick, same position. What they're doing is eating up time, just allowing themselves to steady after a superb piece of play to break the second half deadlock, give Palace the lead for the first time in the match. Here's Eze with the free kick from deep. They've all gone forwards, and Gay is the closest. Anderson wasn't far behind. In between them to claim it comfortably was Meslier, and he rolls it out towards the near side, and Harrison, who sidestepped Elise, swings the ball towards the far side of the pitch. That's a beautiful pass. Into the run of Hughes it goes. Can he get his cross in? No, he can't. It's blocked, it's deflected, and it's a throw in, and that was absolutely sensational. Rodrigo receiving that pass from, not from Hughes, from Harrison, who sprayed it beautifully, and he just pinpointed it as well. It looks for a moment as though he put it too far ahead, has he? But he just managed to undercut it enough to make sure that the bounces were kind for Rodrigo. Corner kick to Leeds on the far side of the pitch, their right hand flank, left footed to be swung in by Harrison by the looks of it, holds both arms aloft. Here comes the corner, towards the near post it goes, and it's going to be hoofed clear after it bounces up into the air. It's hoofed up towards the halfway line, and Zaha, who tries to get some sort of control on a bobbling ball, he doesn't, but he does manage to win the throw-in. I think it rolled down the back of the head of the Leeds defender, did it? It's 2-1 to Crystal Palace here on BBC Radio London and BBC Radio 5 Sports Extra. Sam Parkin alongside myself, Kevin Hand. We've got 8.5 minutes to play. Eze, the second half goal that gives Palace that lead as Schlupp looks as though he'd won the ball. The free kick's gone against him, but he tried to run clear with the ball. Harrison had a little nibble at him on the grounds, and I wasn't quite sure as the referee piped on his whistle which the free kick was going to go for, but the first one was indeed an infringement according to Paul Tierney, and it's a free kick to Leeds, which is just inside of the Palace half, and he's rolled into Somerville, who hasn't had too much in this second period. He tries to roll it in turn towards the run of Harrison. It's ahead of him, and it's out for a Palace goal kick on the far side. Somerville a second half introduction. Luke Ayling's going to come on now in a double substitution. Joe Gelhardt as well for Leeds. I'm going to throw what options they have at Palace in this last 7 minutes plus stoppage time here in the Premier League on BBC Radio London and BBC Radio 5 Sports Extra. 2-1 Palace. Here's Harrison for Leeds. Dinked ball for Rodrigo, try and get in down the left-hand flank. He's sent wide by it. He steps away from Anderson. Left-footed cross towards the near post. It wasn't really connected with by Rodrigo, and there was pressure then on to try and keep the move alive, which he couldn't do, Somerville. But Palace's clearance goes out of play on the near side for a throw-in. Comes to nothing. It's a goal kick to Palace, shepherded out by Ward. And Leeds, the double substitution, as we said. See who's coming off. Ayling on for number 24. In fact, they're going with... What have they gone with? I thought it was a 24 that was held up, but perhaps not. Mark Rocker has come off. Luke Ayling is on. So is Joel Gerhardt. I'm pretty sure that said 24 on that.
It was Christensen, wasn't it? I think.
Was it 25?
Yeah.
Thank you. Here's a double substitution for Palace as well. So Christensen off for Ayling, which is pretty much like for like switched, isn't it? Gerhardt coming on for Rocker in the middle. Hughes preparing to come on for Palace in the meantime as play resumes, and here's Somerville virtually as part of his own back four trying to win the ball back on the far side. Zaha is going to shepherd it out of play. He's worked his socks off today, Wilfried Zaha, hasn't he? It hasn't been, other than that flick, I haven't seen the best of Zaha. Pretty quiet game by his standards, but goodness me, has the work rate been there for him.
Yeah, and he keeps trying things, doesn't he? I mean, he's going to end up this game with a potential big hand in the winning goal.
Well,
he got it a few times in the second half. Not been for the one to try. And the right back still going to go home tonight and know he's been in a hell of a game, and that's always what you get against Zaha. He always tests you physically. He rolls them up. He runs them continually, especially in this second half. So yeah, he dealt with it pretty well, I would say, Christensen, but still tough proposition every time you come to Selhurst Park and have to take on Wilf Zaha.
Well, it's going to be Michael Elise laid on that first goal for Edouard with the free kick to level things up in the first period. He's coming off for Hughes. So again, pretty much like for like, as Will Hughes will come on there. Two real crowd favourites indeed. Elise, who's making his way slowly towards this near side. Paul Tierney's completely distracted, so is not seeing it at all. Leeds are pointing it out to him now and saying, why aren't you hurrying him off? Hughes comes on and Elise goes off. And we're also going to see the introduction of Mateta. Is it for Edouard and a like for like? Surely it will be, it is. Number 22 goes off, Edouard's, and it is Jean-Philippe Mateta who will make his way on. And again, Edouard is going off as slow as you like. And the referee, Mr. Tierney, doesn't seem too bothered at all by that one. As we'll wait for the throw-in on the far side of the pitch. And it remains Crystal Palace 2, Leeds 1. Just under 5 minutes to go here. Plenty of substitutions made by both. It's been all Crystal Palace, though, in this second half. One apiece at half-time, but it was that Zaha flick for the Eze goal, which looks as though it could be winning it for Palace, who lead 2-1 against Leeds. Here's that throw-in taken on the far side by Palace. Mitchell's going to get another go at it. We mentioned Zaha. He's failed to score in his 9 league appearances versus Leeds. They are the opponents that he's played the most against without scoring. Will Zaha, but it's that assist today which is so crucial. That little layoff for Eze, who still had plenty to do, but certainly the layoff gave Eze the chance. Here's a free kick for Palace, midway inside of the Leeds half. It feels like a long time. Well, one since that goal, but even with that goal, that almost feels like an island of scrappy play in this second period, which makes the goal even better, actually. So when a game gets as scrappy as this has in the second half of the second period, you do just wonder how somebody's going to unlock things. Palace did it with 2 pieces of magic, really, from Zaha first. In the meantime, here's a free kick for Eze. He's nearly 30 yards out. It's a long way. He's going to go for goal. Right-footed. Here goes the kick. Off the wall. It deflects. And it will be a corner to Leeds. And who's it taken out on the way? Is it Rodrigo that went down in the wall? Absolutely thumped into him. He was the defender on the right here. He's worn it on the face, hasn't he? The right cheek almost. He's back and up though. And okay. Brave defending from him in the wall. He's turning his head with it, so I guess in some ways that may have cushioned the strike. Eagles rings around Selhurst Park. Could they be flying towards victory here? A much needed 3 points, which will bring them level on points with Leeds. Just start to put some space between that relegation zone. Here's Zaha on the near side, receiving the corner short, and then wonderful skill to Eze. And the 2 that combined for the Palace second goal are keeping Leeds for company now, and Zaha goes around the outside. This is brilliant from him. He's going to go down under pressure, bundled, but yes, Mr. Tierney is going to award the free kick. The assistant didn't, interestingly, although whether he was just trying to let it play on, I don't think he was. Having a look at it, I think Zaha's done very well to win the free kick, let's put it that way.
Yeah, it was a lovely bit of skill. The shift was amazing, but then he kind of allowed Gelhardt to get back alongside him, and he just waited for a little touch on the kind of shoulder and then went to ground. I'm with you, that was a bit soft, that one.
Eze with the free kick, not a shooting opportunity on this occasion. Well, they shouldn't wholly put it past him. Right-footed, here it comes, and he's whipped it near post. It's headed, glanced by Anderson across the face and out for a goal kick to Leeds United. We are approaching the final 60 seconds of normal time here on BBC Radio London and on BBC Radio 5 Sports Extra. Goodness me, the gamesmanship. It started in the crowds. The ball went into the crowd behind the goal, so Meslier went to collect a replacement ball, put it down to play, to resume play. The ball was thrown in from the crowd then, so there was 2 balls on the pitch, and it was thrown through to Mateta. Meslier kicked his ball out, went to get the other one from Mateta, who was absolutely refusing to pass it to the goalkeeper, but when he eventually arrived at his feet, flicked the ball up. It took a little while to hand it to him, shall we say. Goes long downfield for Leeds on the far side of the pitch. It's going to be a throw-in for Crystal Palace in the left-back position. We've got 20 seconds left of normal time. They're on their feet behind Mezier's goal away to our right, and they're making their voices heard here at Selhurst Park. Disappointed to come away with a defeat last week to Chelsea after a strong performance. First 45 would have been a bit of a worry for the home sides, and the home faithful, as Leeds really dominated, deserved their lead and probably deserved to lead at the break. Here's Hughes in the meantime as play just opens up for Palace down the left-hand flank. Gets his cross in. Zaha, he'll twist one way and the other as usual to try and find an opening. Goes towards the line, goes down. And well, I tell you what, the last one for me was never a free kick. That one, if it's outside the area, is potentially a free kick, but it's not a penalty. Can you clear that up, Sam Parkin? Did he have anything on him? Enough on him?
I think Will Zaha's leaned in reaction is a good gauge. Yeah, he just slipped, didn't he? Yeah, he didn't appeal at all, so yeah, I don't think there was anything there.
He was leaning the whole time into the defender, wasn't he? just looking for something. I guess as a result, it felt like there was more connection on all of that. Zaha's just nodded one on for himself here. He's played number 9 and number 10 all in one, and then he's the number 11 trying to get the cross in. It deflects out for a corner kick to Crystal Palace, and we are into stoppage time here at Selhurst Park.
That previous one, actually, that he obviously went to ground when the half penalty appeal. He could have struck that first time. It must have gone through his mind when it was coming down, bouncing towards him, but opted to try and go around the defender. Nothing given, but yeah, exactly where they want the ball now, just running the clock down essentially, and Leeds haven't really had a chance, have they, since Palace went in front. So they've kind of just fallen by the wayside.
90 seconds gone of the 5 minutes of stoppage time. Eze takes it short. It's that same scenario here again. Will we get the same flick from Zaha once more on this occasion? The tackle comes in from Somerville. It'll be a throw in for Zaha to take, and the Eagles looking to run down time here on the near sides. They get 2 wins this season for Vieira's team. I know when you were previewing the game for BBC Radio London before the start, you talked about that difficult start to the season, the difficult run they've had. Well, Leeds today, followed by Leicester away next weekend, Wolves at home, Everton away, Southampton at home, West Ham away, the London derby. It's a busy October for all, isn't it? But Palace will be pretty keen as they win another. Well, they win the corner on this occasion. It's all just been down this near side, holding on to possession, but they've managed to win the corner. Mateta this time drawing the challenge. Yeah, this is a big October. After what's been a difficult start, a tricky start, and big teams they face, they've got to put points on the board against some of these. Leicester away next week as well, and Wolves at home. Their games, if they can pick up the 3 points here against Leeds, that they'll see as a real opportunity to start moving up the table. Eze with the corner first. Will he go short with it to Zaha? You kind of expect he would. Instead he goes near post. Anderson underneath it. It's just over his head. It comes out to Ward, who's going to roll it to the far side of the pitch, the left, trying to keep it in play. Milivojevic, but unable to do so. It's going to be a throw into Leeds on that far side, which is pumped away downfield. I didn't see if that was somebody in the crowd who just threw it the wrong way, or whether it was a Palace player. I'm assuming it's for the crowd. It was the crowd, because otherwise the Palace player would be getting booked. But the home support playing their part here as well in this one. Here's a throw taken back to Mesler in goal. Long downfield it goes for Leeds. What can they do? What can they find? They've got 90 seconds left to find something. They've got to throw in with the man who opened the goal scoring today initially. And it's sent down the line by Struijk. And now with Summerfield, right-footed, sends his cross in. Oh, it's going to drop, right-footed. Oh, I thought it was going to open up. Rodrigo it was who chested it down. It's not dropping, it's not away just yet. It stabbed goalwards in the end. And it was Joe Gelhardt who managed right-footed to just turn it goalwards, but without any power. I think it was Gelhardt who was there first when that ball dropped. No, it wasn't, in fact. It was Jack Harrison when Rodrigo chested it down. I thought it was Gelhardt who was going to go with it right-footed. It was, in fact, Harrison who let it come across him, then left-footed. And by that point, Palace were able to get bodies in front of him.
Yeah, they built it into the box really well. It was a lovely angled pass into Rodrigo. He just chested it back for Harrison, and as you said, from our angle as well, right behind it, it looked like he had a path to goal. Some colossal defending from Crystal Palace, and in the end a really clever effort from Gelhardt, who just flicked it up on his left foot and tried to swivel and volley it right-footed. He just didn't catch it at the vital moment, but from nowhere really, Palace have just been kind of sauntering towards the 3 points, and all of a sudden Leeds must have probably their first attack in 20 minutes.
Almost the first of the half. I mean, I can't particularly think of a save that Gaetta's had to make in this second period for all of the action in the first half, all of the openings. Half chances as much as anything for Leeds. Palace have created better openings in this second period, and they eventually got going in this game. How often does football play out that way, though? I mean, you dominate a half and you know you're going to be up against it in the second if you haven't taken full advantage. Leeds will have been feeling pretty hard done by, pegged back at the break. They'll have felt they deserved their leads. They're still winless in 6 away in the league here at Selhurst Park. Last win coming back in 2006, 2-1 victory in the Championship. Was speculative. Oh, mind you, it wasn't that speculative in the end. I tell you what, Meslier, I think, was far too confident. He was giving me too much confidence. Eze going from nearly the halfway line on that one there, going for goal. And very nearly catching Meslier out. There goes the full-time whistle. 5 minutes of stoppage time are up. It nearly ended with a sensational strike from Eze. Well, the sides were separated by a sensational piece of skill from Eze. A sidestep and a cool slotted finish after Zaha's flick. That after that opening goal in the first half from Leeds, deservedly so, when Struck was on the end of an equally brilliant, magnificent piece of individual skill from Brendan Harrison, slaloming through the Eagles' defence, only to hit the post, but it fell kindly for the left back to tap home. The Eagles level before the break with Edouard's header from Elise's free kick. They'll have been mightily relieved to be 1-1 at half-time, Sam Parkin. At full-time, they'll pretty much feel they deserve the 2-1 though.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think they were at their best, Crystal Palace today, by any stretch of the imagination, but much better side second half, much more attacking intent in comparison to what Leeds United mustered. So for that alone, after quite an even first half that Palace came back into, second half much better, much more on the front foot, created the better chances, and touched on it during the commentary in the second half there. They got loads of match winners now, Crystal Palace, and that's why they'll get over the line in these tight games against the teams in the bottom half of the table. They've got Zaha to point towards, they've got Elise, they've got Mateta now, Ayew, Edouard, and obviously Eze, who came up with a brilliant goal to take maximum points. And that's the difference, I think, a lot of the times in the Premier League, tight games, but when you've got that individual star quality in the final third, that's going to turn up more often than not.
And from a Leeds perspective, they still wait on that win after the 3-0 victory against Chelsea, which seems a fair while ago. It was a fair while ago now. It's a big October for them as well, as Palace move level on points with them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they've shown that they're capable of upsetting the top sides in this division, getting consistency, getting the forward players, I think, in a bit more of rhythm. Bamford will be better for that hour or whatever today, but Sinisterra will come back into the mix as well after his one-game suspension, who's been a really important player for him so far this season in terms of creativity. So I think they'll be fine. Again, I think they're better than some of the teams in the Premier League right now, but that was probably the right outcome today.
Sam Parkin, thanks very much for your company today on BBC Radio 5 Sports Extra and BBC Radio London. You mentioned they do well against the big teams. Well, they've got Arsenal up next, Leeds at home, and they've got a trip to Anfield coming up in their next four as well. So they have plenty to think about after this one. After a good first half display, they just couldn't carry it through. They hold 14th though. Palace slotting behind them in 15th with this victory here at Selhurst Park, where it's finished. Crystal Palace 2, Leeds United 1.